state, so be on the lookout for Cash Pop from the North Carolina Education Lottery. The wins are out there. Must be 18 to play. See Cash Pop prize and odds chart at nclottery.com for details. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
At Planet Fitness, we're declaring it. This is the year of getting stronger. And future stronger you can get started now by saving $28 or more when you join today. You in? We have all the best-in-class equipment you could ever need to keep stepping it up. And free fitness training to help you mix up your routine. Plus, most clubs are open 24 hours. So let's do this. Join Planet Fitness today and save $28 or more. Just $1 down, $15 a month, cancel anytime. Deal ends February 28th. See Home Club for details.
Tired of hearing scary radio ads about the IRS? Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000 or $500,000, we have a solution. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS with zero risk to you. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with a BBB. End your tax nightmare today by visiting TRA.com or call 800-275-1728. That's 800-275-1728.
Dear hero, whoever you are, you save lives. I live with sickle cell and the pain and the issues that come along with sickle cell every day. I've had lots and lots of blood transfusions over my lifetime, probably in the hundreds. Blood helps me to be able to live.
My final tour was in Afghanistan in 2008. I was hit June 3rd. The next thing I remember, I woke up in Germany. The doctor came in and said, "We're going to amputate your leg." I had to get a lot of blood transfusion to stay alive.
Because of you, I'm allowed to see my son grow up.
Because of you, I got a second chance at life.
Giving equals living. Give blood. Replenish the supply. Make an appointment to give today by visiting hhs.gov/giveblood. This message is brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Would you know what to do in a poison emergency? Would you know whom to call? Well, the answer is Poison Help. 1-800-222-1222. Poison Help is a 24/7 government hotline staffed by poison experts. It's free to call and available in over 100 languages. Every second counts in a poison emergency. Don't waste it wondering who to call. Save Poison Help in your phone today. 1-800-222-1222.
When you're high, you feel different. Pretty obvious, right? You think different, talk different, but if you feel different, you drive different. So if you're high, just don't drive. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, injury lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it. Go to ritchielaw.com.
That's ritchielaw.com.
They score!
WCMC-FM HD1 Holly Springs. This is the Adam Gold Show.
To me, it's right now where you look at our identity of our team, it's definitely changed in the last couple of weeks. We've kind of changed the way we play a little bit, and that's, no knock on the guys we brought in. They're great players, but we have to remember how we play the game, and I think we've kind of changed a little bit and clearly not working.
Hi, everyone. It's the Adam Gold Show. Who's excited? Yeah. All right.
Hey, but you can hear us on YouTube. Start the show off.
Oh, we did that right.
On a good foot.
Very nice.
Let's go.
Solid work by you, Victoria, for fixing that.
I try. I do what I can.
Hope everybody's having a lovely Wednesday to start. We're here on YouTube. We are. You can see us if you're watching. And I know a lot of people are. I know my son now, I don't know why he watches in class. That can't be good. His friends watch. They send me messages like, talk about this. No. I'm not talking about this. Anyway.
Yeah.
You give kids a laptop.
He hasn't given you bump song ideas. I'm surprised.
No, we can't. Well.
I probably can't play those. Maybe.
Well, some you can.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so you can watch us at youtube.com/Adam Gold Show.
And hear us.
And hear us at the same time, which is even better, although maybe not. Or you can, whether it's Adam Gold Show or 99.9 The Fan, either way, that's home office. So we are here until 3 We have many things to do. We're going to have a mailbag segment later.
Oh, boy.
I'm culling through my my timeline right now.
I don't know if you have enough options.
There's a lot of redundancy, as you might expect. We said a couple of weeks ago we were going to try to do this on Wednesdays. Right? It just seems like something interesting, different to do. It's not going to be every Wednesday, but it just seems like, let's do it. Why not? And there's enough to talk about with regards to what happened last night or didn't happen last night, like, goals.
Yeah, scoring.
But we'll get to that. But there's other things, too. It's not just hurricane anxiety.
It's not? That's good.
No, we have other things to discuss today. There's a lot of good and a lot of not good, but that's life.
It is.
That's life in the big city.
Ebbs and flows. Yes.
Yes. So without further ado, I have written a lot already today. Written a lot.
It's all good things.
So, no. We are going to spend a fair amount of time on the Canes in the mailbag segment, as we know. And that comes at the bottom of the hour. We're going to do that about 12:30. So for now, let me just say this. You heard the clip from Rod, right? Watching not only this game, but it has been obvious to me, again, not just in Toronto or last night in Montreal, but prior to the break, that the Hurricanes are spending an awful lot of energy trying to get one guy going. And it's not named Andrei Svechnikov for a change.
No, it's not.
Right? It's not named him. So let's just say this. Last night wasn't very good. Wasn't any good. It was bad. Right? I actually think Toronto was worse than last night. Last night was a fair amount of bad luck conspired, but I'm not saying the Hurricanes were any good, so I'm not saying that they deserved anything better. Fact, Carolina's 3-5-1 and have scored 22 goals since the trade. Think about that. 3-5-1, they have scored 22 goals since the trade. 7 of them came in one game against Utah.
There is that.
4 of them came against the Rangers, right? You know who didn't play in the 7-goal game? Mikko Rantanen.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not blaming, by the way. I'm just pointing facts out. So they scored 4 against the Rangers. They scored 11 goals combined in the other 7 games. They are 1-5-1 in those 7. All right. My opinion, it was probably the least impressive of Mikko Rantanen's 8 games with the Hurricanes. He was occasionally good, but not a player you would ever even consider paying $13 million a year.
No.
Right? Again, I am not being critical of Rantanen. I am simply saying, wasn't good. But he wasn't alone either. It wasn't like he was the only guy who played poorly. And for the most part, he's been okay. I would point this out. He has never, for an entire game, and I do not expect him to be that, because I think the human side of all of this really is way more impactful than people want to admit. It was shocking to him to be traded.
Right.
And I do not believe he has recovered that way yet. All right, but the bottom line is that this team has not improved the way they play since his acquisition. They just haven't. Here's Rod Brindamore on what he sees as the main storylines.
Bit of the same story, so it's not that we're giving up a ton, but when we do, it just seemed to find a way to, a couple weird bounces there to start, and then you're behind the 8 ball. And, you got to give them credit. They didn't give us much. I mean, they were, doing a nice job of defending, and when they got the lead. So, special teams have to be better. I mean, I did like the penalty kill tonight. I mean, they did a pretty good job. I mean, the last one's a floater in. That's again kind of a tough break. Like you said, the 5-3 did a hell of a job, and then I didn't love that goal. The power play goes to you guys, kind of a not a grade A opportunity, but listen, We got to find a way to score goals.
Okay. I thought the penalty kill also was good until it wasn't. And the third goal that made it 3-0. But real quick, Rod talked about a couple of bad bounces. First goal was great play by the 22 first overall pick, Juraj Slafkovsky. Great tip. Nothing Freddie can do about that. Dmitry Orlov actually in good position, so really not going to complain. Sometimes you just go, yep, other guy made a great play. That's a goal. The problem on that play was probably Carolina not being able to exit the defensive zone with the puck because they kind of had it, but then, okay, we move on. The second goal, I mean, that's a double doink.
Yes.
And finally, Mikko scores. Wrong net. So, because it goes off the shaft of his stick and in, right? It's not going in unless Mikko's there. Again, not blaming bad luck. But now you're down 2-0. Mm-hmm. And the penalty kill was the star of the second period. They killed off a 5-on-3 without allowing a good opportunity at 5-on-3 for a minute 20.
And that's 2-0 in the first period.
Yeah,
right?
It's 2-0 in the first period. And it's better than 4-0 in Toronto in the first period.
Yeah.
Again, Toronto was way worse than Montreal. But after you kill off that penalty, that 5-on-3 and the subsequent penalty that was left over, Rantanen takes a terrible offensive zone tripping penalty. And I don't care if Mike Matheson just kind of fell down. Like, it's a penalty. And then you compound that by cheating for offense. Granted, Carolina's been great shorthanded in terms of creating offensive opportunities. I've said this before. Since the calendar turned, they have one more shorthanded goal than power play goal. 4-3. That is gross.
Yep.
Right? But they've been dangerous shorthanded. But you got to have the puck before you go. So that's on Sebastian Aho. That's on Brent Burns. Both of those players, they let Seth Jarvis try to dig the puck out on his own. And when Jarvis couldn't, all of a sudden, Nick Suzuki's got not a point blank, because Rod's right. Frederick Anderson, make a save, bruh. That's a savable puck. Right? Freddie was deep in his net and low. Suzuki went bar down. Great shot, but you made it easy. So, my opinion of the Hurricanes the last two games. They did not deserve to win either. They were not the better team. They were a mess defensively against Toronto, less so against Montreal. But you got to get better goaltending, and you have to get back to the details of your game, and they are not doing that. One more thing. Because I do believe that the Hurricanes have tried way too hard to impress the new girl in school. Mikko Rantanen is one of those offensive players. But I got news for people. Not every offensive player fits what you do. They could have miscalculated. We don't know. It's only been 8 games. And the trauma of being traded from a place you never thought you would leave is so real. And we just expect, add water, everything's great. I have hot cocoa.
Uh-huh.
You know what? You know what sucks? Hot cocoa with water.
It
sucks.
does. It does.
I have never had a good cup of hot cocoa made with water.
Gotta have milk.
0.
Yep.
All right. That's what people want. So stop trying to impress the pretty girl. Be who you are.
It does feel like relationship baggage from Jake Gensel days. Like,
well, that will come up in the mailbag.
Oh,
the
nice.
Jake Gensel angle of this is going to come up in the mailbag. I will say the last thing I will say on this, because I know we're going to bring it back more. If I were the Hurricanes, I absolutely would consider moving Mikko Rantanen on over the next 9 days. 100% would be on the table. Not for any other reason than they've got issues to address that Mikko cannot solve. And that's the piece that might be able to get you some of them. We'll pick this up again in a little bit. Last night in Miami, Duke won big and maybe lost big. We don't know the answer. They shot 60% from three-point range. They were 15 of 25 from 3 against Miami last night. 15 of 25, they won 97-60. But Tyrese Proctor suffered a knee or leg injury. It looks like knee, and we will not know the extent of the damage, if any, until they get the results back. They came back last night after the game. I know he's getting checked out. We'll find out. Here's John Shire, the head coach, on the injury.
Yeah, well, he's tough. We got to, he got hit on the leg, and we got to get him some imaging, which we're going to take care of right away, and we'll go from there. But obviously, look, I mean, Tyrese, man, he's tough. He'll do whatever he can and get back out there. But we have to find out what's going on first before we can know.
Okay, so he says he got hit on the leg. I saw the video of the play. I don't know if he got hit or not. To me, it looked non-contact. But
right, knee buckling.
I wasn't there, so I don't know. It looked like it was non-contact, but maybe if it's a collision injury, I would say that you should be more optimistic that it's okay. That's just the way these things seem to work. All right, we know he's vital. We know how good a year he has had. We know how good he is on both ends of the floor. One of the best on-ball defenders in the entire league, a 40-plus three-point shooter. Also, for the most part, a big game performer. But if there is something that Duke has in abundance, it's cover for Proctor. Maybe not identical, maybe not quite as good, but they've got cover. Isaiah Evans is cover. I mean, maybe a better shooter than Proctor, believe it or not. Also becoming an excellent defender. Also long. Caleb Foster. Remember when Caleb Foster was going to be the starter at point guard and not Sion James? Well, Foster started playing well in the last few games, played well yesterday. Suddenly, Caleb Foster becomes part of the mix again after falling out of the mix. You've got Sion James. You've got Con Knipple. Those are 4 pretty good wing/point guard, although Knipple is not a point guard, options. Evans isn't a point guard either. So, honestly, while we should all be concerned for the health of Tyrese Proctor, we should all have the problems Duke has. All right, real quick. And we will get to some other things because in my opinion, the greatest female basketball player I ever saw with my own eyes in person, Diana Taurasi, announced her retirement last night. Let me just run down this resume. Taurasi, 3-time WNBA champion, a 2-time Finals MVP, a 1-time MVP, 11-time All-Star, 10-time All-WNBA first team, 4-time All-WNBA second team, 5-time scoring champ. She won 6 EuroLeague titles. Remember, there was a time, not that long ago, where all these women made no money playing in the WNBA, so they went in the offseason and played in Europe to make more money. 7-time Russian League champion, 3-time Russian League Player of the Year. She won 1 Turkish League title, 3-time NCAA champ, 2-time Final Four Most Outstanding Player, 2-time Naismith Award winner, 2-time First Team All-American, 6-time Olympic gold medal winner, 3-time World Champion gold medal winner. Nobody in any sport has a resume like that.
Just a few things.
Nobody. And I saw her play Duke in Connecticut 1 versus 2 at Cameron Indoor Stadium in February of 2003. And I went back and I looked up the date. I remember being there for a 1 versus 2. Duke was 1, UConn was 2, and UConn with Taurasi absolutely walked the dog with the Blue Devils. That was the most impressive performance I have ever seen, men's or women's team on the road against a number 1 team. It was a thorough beat 'em down, and it was Taurasi. She was unguardable. Best player I ever saw in person with my own eyes in the women's game. All right, Conor O'Neill, Devils Illustrated for this because he watched Duke destroy Miami. That's really unfair. Shouldn't that be a like against the Geneva Convention, what they did to Miami last night?
Yeah, I feel like the powers that be that decided Duke and Miami would play twice this year. I want some bylaws written into the ACC where we get creative, and if we get to the end of January and have a matchup like this, we can re-engineer some things and like let's get Clemson back up to Durham for that matchup. I mean, I think we're on a collision course for Charlotte to see that game anyway, but yeah, going into the season, you figure Miami is not going to be as bad as they are, but oh man, they're bad. and Duke is awesome.
Right. It's a terrible combination for that game. But and traditionally Miami has been the team that has given, outside of the norms, Miami's been the team that has given Duke, I think, the most problems, right? So when that schedule came out, and we're only a couple of years removed from Miami being in the Final Four, I thought, all right, that's not bad. And then Miami turns out to be the train wreck that they are, which is why Jim Larrañaga quit. But, I agree with you. I'd love some flexibility in the schedule. Maybe the ACC should do that, should flat out do that.
I would be in favor of that. I would, it'll never happen this way, but I would be in favor of, getting to mid-December or Christmas and saying, okay, look, we know that these 3 or 4 ACC teams are going to drag down the league's reputation, and everybody that plays them, unless they win by 30 or 40, it's going to be a negative for the net. So just ship them to the AAC or the SoCon or wherever and let them be competitive and have a shot. I mean, they're not going to get a shot to win the automatic bid. So if they go to the SoCon, they at least have a shot to win the automatic bid. And then that solves some of your perception problems. It opens you up to have more home-and-home matchups within the ACC if you stick to a 20-game schedule, which I think TV has shown us that you never decrease the amount of games on a schedule. It only increases or stays the same. So, but, I think that's a little too radical. I think there are probably bigger fish to fry on the plate of Jim Phillips. So. Well, yeah, Jim Phillips does have some other things. He actually had some comments yesterday that I appreciated, but it does sound Pollyannish. Now, first of all, for this program, Conor, there is nothing at all as being too out there. I am all about what you are describing is in-season relegation, and I'm not against it. I am not against it. If you had that arrangement, I don't know if the SoCon would like that, but if you had that arrangement. Or maybe what we do is we have like an in-season kids table. It's not really relegation. So when we get to a certain point of the year, we determine the teams that can only do damage to the adults, and we let them just have a food fight amongst themselves, and we don't play them anymore. We just leave them alone. Wouldn't that be more fun for Boston College and Miami and I can't say NC State because I think I've seen them play their 2 best games of the season between Duke and Wake Forest. But yeah, God, the league needs to figure out something and some way to combat where its perception is because, I don't know if there's any quick fix other than hire better coaches and sink more money into basketball programs than football programs. Conor O'Neill, Devils Illustrated, Deacons Illustrated. You decide. This is Devils Today at Conor O'Neill _DI. Real quick about last night because it was an annihilation. Unfortunately, the injury to Tyrese Proctor. I have not gotten any word. I don't know that you have. John Shire talked about he got hit in the leg last night. It looked non-contact to me, but I wasn't there. And one thing I do know is that the perspective on television is not anything like being there to you can actually see a lot more contact when you're in person. I am curious, do we know anything, and what are your thoughts if Proctor is unavailable the rest of the way? I don't know anything official or unofficial or on or off. I don't know anything about Tyrese Proctor's injury other than what John said last night. I was a little surprised that he said he got hit on the leg, because I'm like you, watching it live and watching it on, I think they showed 1 or 2 replays of it.
Yeah.
It looked like it just buckled as he was going backward. And I've seen some people out there saying it looked like a hyperextension. It looked like, somebody told me it looked like something else. It's just,
right.
I don't know. I think you can't read too much into John Shire saying they're going to get imaging, because they get imaging on anything and everything that is questionable.
Right.
So why would you not take a look at it when you can X-ray and MRI the thing and know everything available? But moving forward, I mean, look, I don't know if this team can win a national championship without Tyrese Proctor, but I do think, based on the way Isaiah Evans has played the last 3 games, their offense still has a lot of firepower with him out there. I mean, good Lord, he's that rare shooter that he only needs to see the first one go in, and he's hot. Like, it's not a he's warming up, he's on fire type of thing.
Right.
Like, the first one goes down, he is on fire, and he needs to be fed the ball, because he's probably making his next 2 or 3 shots. So he's gotten better defensively. That's why he's playing. I mean, he wasn't playing in the start of the season because Duke did not like where he was defensively. And he has come so far on that end of the floor that, and a couple of these games, he's been their first sub off the bench. And I think he slides into the starting lineup. I don't think it's a problem with ball handling, because you have a point guard in Sion James, you have a point forward with Cooper Flagg, and they're comfortable putting the ball in Conca Nipple's hands as an initiator.
And Caleb Foster. And Foster's starting to play well
Foster
again.
Comes off the bench.
Yeah.
Caleb, it looked like he was moving at a slower pace than the starters last night when he was in there in the second half with them. I think that's something they need to get him up to speed with. And that's kind of forgivable and understandable, because the last 3 or 4 games he's come in with about 6 minutes on the clock and Duke has a 30-point lead. So it's going to be a little bit of an uphill challenge to get him sped up, but I think they can do it. But look, I mean, ideally, we hear something in the next few days about a bruise or a sprain or some sort of non-season ending injury to Tyrese. And, I don't even want to speculate on a timeline. But ideally, obviously, he's back for the games that really matter coming up next month.
Yeah, I said the same thing about Malik Brown. If Malik Brown can get back, Malik Brown, to me, only needs to come back for the second week of the NCAA tournament. Maybe you get him for the second game, the weekend game of the opening weekend. But if Malik Brown is back and ready to go for that, I think Duke's in very good shape. So that he is another key member. But I've already talked about it. I think not that you want to lose Tyrese Proctor, because he's the best of the version of whatever that player is for Duke. But they've got cover. Evans, Foster, Knippel, Sion James. I know how to pronounce his name. I keep screwing it up. But they've got players to cover that spot, although Proctor is the best of them. Conor O'Neill, at Conor O'Neill _DI. You and I are going to get together and flesh out this this in-season relegation deal. I like it.
Let's do it.
I like it. All right, sir. Thank you for your time. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Adam.
I do like it. I like radical things to improve the college experience. I am a fan. I've said this before. The European soccer system and major college athletics have way too many similarities for me. And not about way too many. They offer a lot of similarities in terms of fan support, blind fan support. Like, it's community. It's your hometown team or your hometown school. And I actually think it would work in major colleges because, although we do have a lot of boosters who think otherwise, they're really not owned, right? There are owners in European soccer, but these clubs are really owned by the communities. And that's important. All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back. A mailbag. We are going to answer questions. I put out the call on Blue Sky and on Twitter, and we have questions coming at you. Next.
From the heels,
Touchdown, Carolina.
to the canes.
She scores!
He covers it all. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
The Pack Therapy Podcast is in session thanks to First Horizon Bank. Tim Donnelly here, host of The Drive, alongside Wolfpack legend Casey Morsell.
Every episode is your chance to score inside information on the Pack.
We'll set you up for Wolfpack games all season long.
And we break down the ACC competition, what to watch for as we roll towards the tournament madness.
Plus special guests to keep Wolfpack hope alive.
Follow and subscribe to Pack Therapy wherever you discover your favorite podcast or watch on YouTube.
Hey, it's Adam Gold from my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. We are ever closer to the month of March. Saturday and March is basketball for fun. I don't know what that means, but right now new customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet hits. I've given you 2 winners in a row this week. Carolina laying the points on the road Monday. Duke on the road laying the points yesterday. State wins outright at Syracuse tonight. If you have been waiting to join FanDuel, there is no better time. FanDuel.com/AdamGold. FanDuel.com/AdamGold. That's FanDuel.com/AdamGold, because March is basketball and we love fun. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
Mitchell Heating and Cooling. We do the job right every time.
Mitchell Heating and Cooling is celebrating 51 years of trusted service. And to celebrate, get a furnace tune-up for just $51. That's peace of mind heating for only $51. Visit MitchellHVAC.com. Mitchell Heating and Cooling. Quality products and services on time from a family you trust. It's hard to stop a train.
The best solutions every time.
Fargo, your virtual assistant from Wells Fargo, makes banking faster and easier. Like this.
Fargo, what did I spend on groceries last month?
And this.
Fargo, turn off my debit card.
And this.
Fargo, what's my checking account routing number?
And that's just the beginning. Do you, Fargo? You can in the Wells Fargo mobile app. Learn more at wellsfargo.com/getfargo.
Fargo is only available on the smartphone versions of the Wells Fargo mobile app. Wells Fargo Bank N.A., member FDIC.
It's bow time.
A leg and thigh dinner from Bojangles for just $5.99.
Leg and thigh dinner from Bojangles for just $5.99.
So crispy.
So crispy.
And juicy.
And juicy.
So much flavor.
So much.
Stop it. What are you doing?
What, you expect me to get this delicious deal and not say anything?
You're unbelievable.
You're unbelievable.
With a boldly seasoned leg and thigh, choice of fixin', a biscuit, and legendary iced tea, it's a deal so good it's worth repeating. So eat and repeat while it lasts. It's bow time.
It's bow time. Dine in, drive through, or tap your favorite delivery app and have Bojangles come to you. Satisfy your craving for flavor right now with Bojangles 2-piece dinner. 2 pieces of Bojangles dark meat chicken, your choice of fixin', a biscuit, and iced tea for just $5.99. That's right, just $5.99 for limited time at participating Bojangles. What are you waiting for? When you're hungry, it's always bow time.
No two people learn the exact same way. So how did Babbel become the award-winning language learning app? We thought of you, all of you. Take Sierra. As a visual learner, she uses Babbel's wordplay videos.
Today I'll share a quick lesson on shopping in French.
Merci beaucoup. Keith is a be in the room with real people kind of learner, so he loves the live online classes with our language experts.
Okay, class. ¿Vos está pronto? Estamos prontos.
However you learn, Babbel makes it easy. Try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. BABBEL.com.
One Adam. Gold. One Adam. Gold.
Was the hug because of the soft, fuzzy thing you're wearing?
It's a comment. I'm a great hugger. People like to hug me. So, but yes, it's helpful when I'm soft and fuzzy.
Is that a skill?
It may be, yes.
I think it is a skill.
I think it is a skill.
Yeah.
You know who else gives really great hugs? Mike Meniscalco.
Really?
He is one of my favorite huggers. Yes. Every time I see him, he gives the best hugs.
I'm going to try that at the next home game.
Do it.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Victoria's on the ones and twos today, as always.
Never heard this song before.
You say me?
No, me. It's called Send It in a Letter, and I figured for a mailbag segment.
I like it. It's got pep.
It does have pep.
All right, give it about an 85. I could dance to it.
Right?
Isn't that a like an old, not Soul Train. Is that a Soul Train reference? I don't know. I used to watch Soul Train as a kid.
Oh, yeah.
Big time. Big time. It'll be a Stone Gas Honey. I was all about Don Cornelius. R.I.P. All right, let's do. Is that the sounder for a mailbag, or we have a sounder?
No, I do have a sounder.
Yeah, it's this. Well, why not? Let's do it.
You've got mail.
All right, look. It coincided with another disappointing loss for the Hurricanes, and no fan base, seriously, no fan base here locally lives online quite like the Carolina Hurricanes.
Yes.
So, there is a ton of redundancy, and by the way, and this is the only thing that I don't like about the social media experience. There's a ton of anger and disrespect.
Nasty.
So, look, I, to my own detriment, will engage. And I don't stop engagement well. So it ends up being a time suck. I will, however, stop engaging if you act like a jackass. So that's all I ask. Just respect. And if I get it, then I am more than happy to engage and take time away from other things. All right. These will also not all be Hurricane stuff because we have other things. Anyway, and I'm just going to start here. This is sort of in order. It's kind of in reverse order. And I have a lot of thoughts about what I've seen for the Hurricanes coming up in a little bit, but for now, we're just going to answer questions in the mailbag. Here we go. From Ghosts of Waddell, and this is actually sneaky brilliant because I think it's true. Would we, the Hurricanes, have been better off getting JT Miller to play an actual need at center and keeping Natchez? Not sure those two things would have happened. And why is the answer yes? I don't know that Natchez would have been kept in that regard. I don't know. I do not believe the Hurricanes were ever seriously considering JT Miller because he is in his 30s already and has 5 more years left on a contract. So based on what I know, I think the Hurricanes were allowing themselves, they were exploring everything. And maybe something could have happened with JT Miller, but I think it was more about Elias Pettersson, and I don't think they were really in love with the contract and the fact that he's having a dog year. But the bigger picture question there is, I think, yes. Because what they need, more than ever needing a wing, they don't need any more wings. They got plenty of those. They're falling off trees. What they need is a bona fide center. A number 2 center. Actually, this is going to sound radical. Had the Hurricanes brought JT Miller in, if he only had 3 years left in a contract as opposed to 5, then JT Miller would have been their first center, and Sebastian Aho would be their second center. Just an opinion. So, yes, they would have been better off bringing in a player like JT Miller. Heather, if Mikko walks, which seems likely, we got to stop this, that will be 2 highly skilled offensive players that did not want to play in North Carolina. Remember I said there was a Jake Gensel angle here. What is it that makes these stars not enjoy playing here? Do you think it hurts us in free agency with the ability to recruit other stars to play here. Okay, this is a big picture answer here. One, Jake Gensel loved it here, wanted to stay. So that we have to correct that that perception that Jake Gensel didn't want to stay here. This is where I have criticized the organization before. They blew it. Jake Gensel, if they had just met the asking price, when it was asked, Jake Gensel would have signed 8 times 8 with the Hurricanes. Flat out. 8 times 8, Jake Gensel would be wearing number 59. He'd be the second most popular 59 after Chandler Rose. That would have happened. The Hurricanes tried to get the number lower because they did have cap issues. If they signed Jake Gensel, they would not have signed Martin Necas. He would have been gone in a trade. Seth Jarvis's contract probably looks different. Would have been a bridge deal. The Hurricanes would have looked a lot different as a team with Jake Gensel. They tried to get the number lower. They failed. It cost them Gensel, but he wanted to stay. The other part of that question is what hurts the Hurricanes in free agency. What hurts the Hurricanes in free agency is that they don't pay the premium for free agency. This is what I've been telling people forever. This is why they don't generally do trade deadline deals. Because when the prices go up, when the value exceeds what they believe the value is, they won't play. Which is why they come out on the short end of the Timo Meier trade, the Bo Horvat, whatever trades that the Hurricanes were involved in. Matthew Tkachuk. They tried to get Matthew Tkachuk from Calgary. They have a value and they stick to it. It's part of the reason the organization is successful because they don't expand their values for, and I'm talking about, acquisition cost, whether it's financial or prospect or things like that. They don't expand that just to be desperate enough to get the deal done because they have a bigger picture view of everything. So they don't participate in free agency because they don't want to pay like a free agent tax, if you will. And that's why they don't go after the big free agents. Remember, Mason Marshman, who had a good year for Florida, they had signed to a 4 times $4.5 million deal. And at the last minute, he got the same deal in Dallas, Texas. No state income tax, right? Yeah. So there you go. All right. So let's go. Katie, what does Rod Brindamore and the coaches need to do to help Rantanen adapt to the system while not shackling his natural offensive instincts? This is where I go like it ain't that complicated on this. I know that there are different systems, and I think what Colorado does and what Carolina does probably bear no resemblance. But this is where I say, if you're a great player, you should be adaptable if you are a great player. The Hurricanes, as a group, have played a certain way for 6.5 years. Actually, let's just say 6, because it hasn't really looked all that great this year. It's Rantanen's job to adapt. That's the way I look at it. I could be wrong, but I think it's the player's job to come in and fit in. Play the way you are asked to play, because if and I'm not saying he's doing this, I think the team has tried to shift individually, subconsciously has tried to shift to help him. And now they're not even close to playing the way they're supposed to play. So I think it's really on Rantanen to adapt. Stover. I think Rod is a great coach, but he really likes his vets. Keeping Anderson in net played a part in why we lost to the Rangers last playoffs. Things are off balance here, have been since the start of last season. Something in that locker room needs to come out. Okay, the second part of that, I think, is just we could have stopped it after why we lost to the Rangers. Because and this is where I get angry, where Rod's lost the room. No, hasn't lost the room. I'm trying to think of other examples, but regardless, the things that the tropes that we all fall back on. We need a new voice. No. The voice is fine. The players are fine. Now, the Frederick Anderson thing, we've talked about ad nauseum. I said last year in the playoffs, I said it in the offseason, I said it at the beginning of this season. The fatal mistake that was made last year was not trusting Pyotr Kochetkov to play against the Islanders. That was the fatal mistake. And we all know that Freddie will break down even given normal rest. So not beating the brakes off Frederick Anderson when he was playing well, I thought would have been smart. They opted against it. I would have started, whether you start Anderson in Game 3 or Game 4 against the Islanders, it was a shorter turnaround because the Game 4 was an afternoon game with only one day off. You could have started Anderson in Game 3, which they won, and they did, and I would have come back with Kochetkov in Game 4. And if you lose the game, you got Freddie in Game 5. I think Freddie wore down and then was not as good against the Rangers. They did go to Kochetkov, who played poorly in the loss in Game 3, and went back to Anderson. Then they won a couple of games, and then Anderson, the brakes fell off him. But I agree that was a mistake to not use Kochetkov more. Now, it gets to the problem with the blue line, and regardless, rather than credit one person, 80% of my timeline hates Brent Burns. Can't do anything about that. But I will tell you this about Carolina's defense. Then I have three other questions we'll get to quickly. I don't know that Carolina's blue line is fixable to the extent that it makes them significantly better. I'm being unless. So I'll say I'll give you the end right now. Unless you use Rantanen in a trade, then I think the blue line is fixable right now. If you are willing to move Mikko Rantanen, and if I've said before, I think the Hurricanes should consider it. I do. Brent Burns is who he is at this point. If he's not turning the puck over, he's okay. He's not great right now, but if he's not turning the puck over, he's actually been pretty good. But unfortunately, he's been turning the puck over on the regular. And it's mind-blowing how egregious they have been. All you had to do was watch the first goal against Toronto. That should be a secondary assist for Burns. So that is a problem. It's hurting Slavin's game because Jacob's trying to do two jobs. But the Hurricanes only have two defensive-minded defensemen. Three, sort of, with Sean Walker. And if you put Burns with Shane Gostisbehere, you've got a really vulnerable third pair. Right now, Walker mitigates a little bit of Gostisbehere. And I think Sean has played very well. I thought Sean was one of their best, might have been their best player last night. Chatfield mitigates Orlov. And Slavin mitigates Burns. And that's why these combinations are very, very difficult to mess with. It needs to work this way. If Scott Morrow were more advanced, if they thought Morrow could legitimately help them, and maybe they will get to a point where, hey, it doesn't matter, we might as well try it, then I think Scott Morrow will be here. Alexander Nikishin is probably mid-April at the earliest if he gets here, because the KHL season doesn't end until March 23rd. That's the regular season. They're probably the second best team in their conference, so we're talking about, a few more weeks of playoffs at the earliest. So it's probably not a regular season arrival for Nikishin, but maybe in the playoffs, and then what do you get? I don't know. But I don't think their problems on the blue line are fixable unless it's either internal improvement or they use Rantanen in a trade. Quickly, Charles, if the Canes do flip Rantanen, who do they try to fill the hole he would leave behind? Honestly, they have plenty of wings. I understand you would be sending out somebody who would theoretically score a lot of goals. Of course, he's not right now. But to me, if they moved Rantanen, they've got plenty of wings. It all would depend. They could improve, believe it or not, depending on what they added. If you added a bona fide, top 2 center, or you added a legit option to play on a top defensive pairing. So now you've got some flexibility. Right now, they don't have defensive flexibility. All right, Bryce Young for MVP. Are you excited for Cars 4? Cars 1, one of the greatest movies ever made. Cars 2 was...
That's further than I've got.
Yeah. Cars... I prefer Mater's Tall Tales.
Okay.
But Cars was great. I don't remember Cars 3. Cars 2, but I'm sure Cars 4 will be great. So yes, I am looking forward to it. And Justin, do you think your Mets finally win the division? Of course not. Don't even bring it up.
Right, it's a touchy subject.
One-timers next.
Talking sports so you don't have to pretend to know stuff. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Hey, it's Adam Gold from my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, and we are exiting the shortest month of the year for March. And you know what that means. College basketball. And right now, new customers on FanDuel can get $150 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's right, $150 of their money to use as you see fit, as long as you win your first $5 bet. Time for you new customers to join in. FanDuel.com/AGS. FanDuel.com/AGS. Get in on all the college hoops action before March takes over. FanDuel, 21 and over and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
Electricity. It's what powers our lives, from the ordinary to the extraordinary. In North Carolina, 26 local electric cooperatives provide energy to 2.8 million people across the state. But we're providing so much more than affordable, reliable power. We're helping to strengthen the people and communities that make our state great, today and for generations to come. North Carolina's electric cooperatives. Power you can count on, now and always. Learn more at ncelectriccooperatives.com.
Going to college gives you more career options. You could say it pays for itself, but it might not feel that way in the short term, especially when tuitions do. That's where the FAFSA comes in. The FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid. It's your gateway to money for college. Whether you're seeking scholarships, grants, work-study programs, or loans, it all starts with the FAFSA. So how about it? Make a plan for college and find everything you need for the FAFSA at cfnc.org.
As fall championships begin, the Governor's Highway Safety Program would like to remind you to buckle your seatbelt when traveling home from today's events. Whether you're driving out of town or across town this holiday season, wearing a seatbelt is your best defense against injury or death in a crash. During the busiest time of travel, prioritize your safety and buckle up. Every seat, every time. And remember, click it or ticket. It's the law. This message brought to you by the North Carolina High School Athletic Association and the Governor's Highway Safety Program.
AARP is working hard to make sure people in North Carolina are getting the most out of life. Whether it's helping you stay healthy, save more money, care for loved ones, or simply have some fun, AARP is making a difference in communities across the state. You have a wise friend and fierce defender with AARP. Learn more about progress being made for older adults in the state by listening to AARP Without Limits. You can find the latest episodes of AARP Without Limits wherever you listen to your podcasts.
A crisis moment is any moment where you feel overwhelmed and as if you aren't able alone to handle what's happening. You don't have to be alone with that feeling, and when that feeling comes is exactly when you should reach out, you should get connected, and you should be in community. We care, we listen, we help. Call, text, or chat 988 anytime.
Call, text, or chat 988
24/7. Brought to you by the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services.
Did you know that since you have public power, your electricity is operated and controlled by people in your community, not by a for-profit investor-owned company? These local folks are directly accountable to you. They don't answer to shareholders. They make decisions for the good of your community. What's more, your public power provider invests in your community, providing jobs and supporting your local economy. Local people working together to meet local needs. That's public power. Learn more at electricities.com.
Gold. Gold.
So I was reading an article about the 10 oddest Guinness World Records, and the thing that caught my eye was most skips by a cat in 1 minute. This woman has a jump rope and is skipping with her cat. Okay, I have got a cat, and let me just tell you, the skipping alone would cause this, but swinging a jump rope anywhere near my sweet kitty Carol, she'd be gone for like 5 days.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I'm Adam Gold. Victoria's on the ones and twos. All the questions were the same. Hope everybody's having a good Wednesday. Chip Patterson next hour. Will Brinson in hour number 3. We have to Dave Canales, I know, met the media yesterday talking about what he learned from Bryce Young. We're going to get to that. I think there's I kind of disagree with some of the things Dan Morgan said, or some of the ways that we're talking about the Carolina Panthers going into next year. But we'll get to all those things as we move forward in the show. Right now, we got one-timers.
Okay, so I was looking at our YouTube stream because
YouTube stream.
I asked everyone on the YouTube stream if they had a question, they could put it in there, and I would try to get to as many as possible. So first up, someone is asking, is it time for Rod to change or at least modify the system?
No. Play your game. They have been to the playoffs 6 years in a row. Twice they went to the Eastern Conference Finals. A couple of times they got goalied. Or their own goalie let them down. There are 4 franchises in the National Hockey League that have been more consistently good than the Hurricanes. That's it. Your game is good enough. They have been this close too often without the high-end player. Come on.
Yeah.
Be who you are. Why do we have to be somebody else? Be who you are. I'm so mad. I'm not mad. The answer is no. Be who you are.
Well, one question kind of relating to that, but different. How much of the Canes' issues right now come down to a lack of confidence versus issues with the system?
Oh, it's all confidence. It's 100%. They look like a team that has no faith right now in each other. And they are spending way too much time trying to make the pretty girl happy.
Yeah.
Like, if Miko wants to be here, you're not going to force Miko to love you.
Mm-mm.
You're just not.
Yeah.
Take it from somebody who has tried in his past.
We have a couple openers about this stuff. We should have a relationship podcast. Yeah. Next up, so is there anyone out there that we could afford to bring in to replace Burns?
I'm sure there are options. Can Carolina swing a deal? But like I said, they've got 9 days to figure out whether or not Rantanen can fit here, or do they try to move him and address some actual problems? Because I think that they can do something if they wanted to.
Chapel Hill to Charlotte, Greenville to Greensboro. Your sports, his state. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Listen every afternoon for The Drive with Tim Donnelly.
Kevin Keats and state basketball have to do something, and I'll tell you what that is. They have to acknowledge what is happening. This season, it's a failure. That's not to say each individual player isn't working harder. There's no likable people in the program. It's just that after last season, this season, it's not enough. And they have to figure out how to fix it for next season.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 3 to 6 on 99.9 The Fan.
A new game has landed in North Carolina. Officials are calling this new species of game Cash Pop. So easy to play, it's out of this world. Reports confirm you just pick and match one number to win up to $2,500. With 5 drawings every day, cash landings have been cited across the state. So be on the lookout for Cash Pop from the North Carolina Education Lottery. The wins are out there. Must be 18 to play. See Cash Pop prize and odds chart at nclottery.com for details. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
What could you do with an extra $75,000 right now, or even a couple $100,000? If you own a home, you can get that money in less than a week with Loan Pronto. Hey, it's Dennis Cox. Loan Pronto is the leader in quickly converting your home equity into cold, hard cash. You can pay off all your credit cards or start that home remodel. Loan Pronto has several easy options to let you access the cash from your home. There's virtually no paperwork, no cumbersome process, no junk fees, and often no appraisal. Listen, the average homeowner now has over $300,000 in equity. That's your money. Use it. One client got $150,000 out and paid off all their credit cards, 2 car loans, and a personal loan, cutting their monthly expenses by $1,500. You can get approved in as little as 1 day. So act now with no hard credit pull up front. LoanPronto.com, 919-381-1760. Get the money you need for anything. 919-381-1760, LoanPronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Whether you're fixing up a room or tackling a full-scale remodel, Habitat for Humanity Restores have a huge selection of high-quality building materials at a fraction of the cost of regular retail, like new and reclaimed flooring and cabinets, tile, doors, and windows, lumber, and more. Come shop our treasure trove of building materials and save big bucks on your next project. Plus, your purchase helps Habitat build homes in our community. Visit Habitat Restores in Durham, Raleigh, Clayton, or go online to learn more at trianglerestores.org.
Things are just better when you switch to Cricket. The sun shines a little brighter. Happy music starts randomly playing. Best of all, you can get iPhone 13 for just $29.99. With the ultra-bright Super Retina display and up to 19 hours of video playback, all on Cricket's super-fast 5G network. See? Isn't that better? Smile, you're on Cricket.
Requires new account and port in on $60 plan. First service charge and tax due at sale. $25 activation fee. Terms and restrictions apply. Cricket 5G is not available everywhere. See store for details.
The next disaster is coming. Make a plan. Keep extra medication on hand. Make copies of important documents. Stay informed and be ready. Learn more at americares.org/sendusin.
No two people learn the exact same way. So how did Babbel become the award-winning language learning app? We thought of you, all of you. Take Sierra. As a visual learner, she uses Babbel's wordplay videos.
Today I'll share a quick lesson on shopping in French.
Merci beaucoup. Keith is a be in the room with real people kind of learner, so he loves the live online classes with our language experts.
Okay, class. Vos está pronto.
Estamos prontos.
However you learn, Babbel makes it easy. Try Babbel for free at babbel.com, BABBEL.com.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, injury lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it. Go to ritchielaw.com.
That's ritchielaw.com.
WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on the radio, Instagram, TikTok, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
Proctor open from 3, and he's got 1,000 in his career now. Tyrese Proctor with his 64th 3 of the season. Good for him. 1,000-point score, the 70th in program history, and he builds a lead to 11, 13-2. McCray trying to turn the corner on Proctor. Crosses over, lost it. Tyrese knocked it loose. Here's Cooper the other way. A hit ahead for Tyrese. Behind the defense, got it blocked on the layup. Cooper there to clean it up. A throwdown with 2 hands, and the lead back to 15.
It's the Adam Gold Show. Duke Radio Network last night. Duke won by 1 billion. Hey, if you're Miami, you kept it closer than Illinois did.
Right. That's probably the bigger surprise of the turnout.
Unreal. My understanding is that Tyrese Proctor is okay.
Oh, well, that's good.
That is my understanding.
Hopefully.
I need to keep that on the low, but
yeah.
Although I just said it out loud, didn't I? But my understanding is that he's okay, but we'll wait for official confirmation from Duke University on that.
Yeah.
But look, if you are a Blue Devils fan,
Then you're happy about that.
than Proctor just being banged up, which is ultimately what it would be,
Mm-hmm.
is the best news you could get. As I said, when I watched it, it looked to me to be non-contact. I didn't see the buckling that other people saw. Whatever. I only saw it like once or twice in real speed. I was otherwise occupied last night. Duke had the audacity of playing during a Hurricanes night and a Hurricanes game where the Hurricanes were less than good.
Where you wish you were watching the Duke game.
Yeah. But I thought it was non-contact issue, which for me is always more of a problem than a contact injury. But apparently, he'll be okay. Duke still has cover. You're going to continue to see more from Isaiah Evans. I'd love to see Caleb Foster become more of the rotation, but you can't play everybody. You just can't. So Duke's not going to play 10 guys. So Sion James is going to play. Proctor is assuming, health. He's going to play. Knipple, Evans. If Foster is needed, he'll play. But if Proctor is back, then Foster kind of shuffles to the back. Anyway, so hopefully his everything will be okay. All right, now let me kind of walk through some things from last night. Because I do feel like, and Chip Patterson's going to join us in about a little less than 15 minutes. So we're going to shift this focus to college football and some comments that Jim Phillips made, but also some big picture things about whether it's the college football playoff or potentially an expanded NCAA tournament as well. I feel as though we have reached a dividing line with this season's Carolina Hurricanes. And this is my observation from, it's not just last night. I think for the most part, their offense has been somewhat anemic. And I'm not just talking about scoring goals. To me, the statistics are lying to us about how many scoring chances they had. According to the statistics, the data from last night, the Hurricanes should have scored a lot more goals.
Right.
Well, they scored none, so a lot more. Right. Yeah. A lot more is certainly relative. They had some chances last night. First period, I thought there were a couple of really good opportunities. Early in the second period, Seth Jarvis was on an odd man rush on the right side. And maybe he waited too long. Maybe he should have passed it. I actually think he should have shot. It didn't go. Good save from Sam Montembeau, who played very well last night. Jackson Blake had a couple of chances. Jack Roslovic inexplicably missed the net wide from tight quarters twice. So there were chances. But what there weren't was pressure. Carolina looked disjointed last night. They looked, especially in the defensive part of the ice at times, undetailed. Like, Rod likes to use the term there but not there. That was more a case in Toronto. But the case on the third goal, which was a power play goal, was Carolina knowing that they needed to score because they were down 2-0, trying to cheat for offense, and they left themselves exposed. So that left Nick Suzuki open, and his shot easily beat Frederick Anderson, which to me was the worst goal he allowed of the night. Carolina's goaltending, this is going to sound weird. It hasn't been bad, but it hasn't been good enough. And right now, the Hurricanes, because the offense isn't there, they need to keep these games to 1 or 2 goals to give them a chance. And they're not doing it. And therein lies the problem of 3-5-1 since the acquisition of Rantanen and Taylor Hall. All right, now, for some perspective. The Hurricanes are one of the best teams in the entire NHL. It hasn't looked great lately, but that is a fact. And that is not only this year, though over the last, let's say, 2 months, they've slipped. And I think they are a second-tier Stanley Cup contender. I don't care what Vegas says. And I've said it at the time. Even last year, when we were all very optimistic, I didn't see them as quite the upper crust. All right? With 24 games to play, they are still on target for a 7th consecutive playoff appearances. Only 4 other teams in the NHL have a streak that long. Colorado and Tampa Bay, 7 going on 8. Toronto and Boston, 8 going on 9. Bruins are probably not going to make the playoffs this year. Florida and Edmonton are working on their 6th straight postseason. Carolina's in pretty good company, right? And year in and year out, in the postseason, they've been more consistently good than those teams. Yes, they have not won a Stanley Cup. And Colorado and Florida and Vegas and Tampa Bay all have. I get it. All right, I'm going to kind of fast forward here because Chip's going to join us in about a little less than 10 minutes. Even with the scratchy play in the last month, the Hurricanes are tied for 4th in the Eastern Conference, 9th in the NHL, no matter how you slice it. They have the 5th best goal differential in the East, 8th best goal differential in the entire league. And goal differential is one of the single most meaningful statistics, basic statistics in, well, all of sports, but in hockey. It tells you something. They're 2nd in the Metropolitan Division. They're tied with the Devils. They're 6 points in front of Columbus if you're worried about competing for a wild card spot. Yeah, I'm throwing it out there because I don't think there's anything is guaranteed. 24 games left. That's a lot of games. Hurricanes are going to have to play well to maintain their spot, ideally, ahead of New Jersey. Now, let's roll it back a little bit. This was always going to be a transition year, wasn't it? Remember how we were all talking at the beginning?
It was supposed to be.
Right? There were people who said Hurricanes aren't going to make the playoffs. Those people haven't been wrong yet. I think they will be.
Yeah, Greg
Wyshynski, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he wasn't the only one. There were a lot of people. Anyway, this was always going to be a transition year, and then they got off to that great start. Martin Necas touched the sun, and everything went into the net, and it masked. And we were saying this from the beginning that Necas' hot streak was masking the problems that Carolina had. Mostly those problems then were in goal. But those problems have drifted out from the goal mouth at this point. And when Necas' heat check waned, all of the problems that Carolina had and were growing have kind of taken over. And Carolina hasn't had good enough goaltending, not on a consistent basis. It hasn't necessarily been bad, but it hasn't been good enough. And now what we're seeing is the blue line showing cracks. It's very possible that Brent Burns and Dmitry Orlov are cooked. Cooked. Now, maybe not. Players who get up there in age, especially Burns, who's going to be 40 next month, you go through pockets where you don't have it. But they're not the only ones who have played poorly. We haven't seen A-plus level Sebastian Aho all year.
Not at all.
Right? So we haven't seen that. We haven't seen A-plus level Andrei Svechnikov all year. We've seen better Aho than Svechnikov, but still, I would say if Sebastian were asked to self-review, like many people are in companies across these United States of America, Aho might give himself a 3 out of 5 for this year. I'll be generous.
Yeah.
I'll give him a B.
There you go.
I'll give Sebastian Aho a B for this season.
Mm-hmm.
But it ain't better than that.
No.
So there's a lot of things that have kind of showed cracks and I think Aho is a much better player than he's shown. I don't know why it hasn't been a great year for him. I mean, we're saying this, he's basically a point a game. So we should all have those problems of not being all that great and be a point a game. But we have completely lost the plot. And then you go in and you bring Mikko Rantanen and Taylor Hall in, and now things within the room dynamic change. And I think that people are being incredibly... this is the problem we have, and I'll just call it a fantasy football world that we live in sports. We just assume that you plug in, everything's fine. It's the same, because that's what happens using data. And I know the Hurricanes used data when they made the acquisition. I'm not criticizing it, but you never know how it's going to play. Ever.
Yeah.
So
it's like plaster when you put it on the wall. You still got to smooth it out. Like, it'll fill the gap, but you got to smooth it out to make it like work together. So you could put paint on it.
Spackle.
Make it pretty. Yeah.
Spackle.
Yes.
Spackle doesn't always work. Sometimes you can tell.
Right.
Maybe that's just me.
But it takes a minute.
So, in my opinion, here are the things the Canes need to upgrade. Right? Real quick. Because now you've got Rantanen and Taylor Hall here. And it's time to figure it out. You've got 9 days to figure it out. Hurricanes need to upgrade goaltending. That might be from within. That might be, hey, Freddie, or you, Piotr, one of you, somebody look like a number one goaltender. They have both looked like backups for the last, I would say 3 starts apiece. That's job one. Blue line defense. Last night wasn't really the problem. More so in Toronto. But I've just said Burns and Orlov need to get better. Shane Gostisbehere hasn't been awesome also since coming back from the injury, but I think Shane has been closer to Shane than Burns and Orlov have been to each other. And again, Slavin, world class. I think Chatfield has been, for the most part, excellent, and I think Sean Walker has been dynamite. So I think Carolina's got like 2/3 right now of an operable blue line. Scott Morrow might not be ready. Alexander Nikishin won't even be available probably until the middle of April. So with all of that, any changes would have to come via trade. So I also think they need a better version of a second center, but that probably is going to have to be an off-season acquisition. So you got 9 days. The trade deadline is sitting there next Friday. 4 more games between now and then, right? Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. No, 5 more games between now and then. I think Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday. We'll find out.
I have a one-timer that we didn't have time for, but it's related to this.
Sure.
Do you think that their home advantage, now that they're going to be home for a while, might help them, at least with their mindset, potentially?
They've been obviously not good on the road and much better at home, but I've seen them play like crap at home. So I wouldn't rely on anything.
It's a coin toss.
Yeah. I think you've got legitimately, and this is way different from where I was 2 weeks ago. Yelling, screaming at clouds, why are we talking about trading Mikko Rantanen? Because it might be the best thing for this franchise, not only this year, but for the future. You can't make somebody love you. It's very possible that Mikko Rantanen is just not going to be happy anywhere but Colorado. I don't think there's any guarantees anywhere. They have 9 days to sort this out. We'll see what happens. Chip Patterson next.
Talking sports, dropping truth. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
The Adam Gold Show.
3-5-1. They have scored 22 goals since the trade. 7 of them came in one game against Utah.
There is that.
4 of them came against the Rangers. You know who didn't play in the 7-goal game? Mikko Rantanen.
Mm-hmm.
They scored 11 goals combined in the other 7 games. They are 1-5-1 in those 7.
The Adam Gold Show, weekdays starting at noon on 99.9 The Fan.
Mitchell Heating and Cooling. We do the job right every time.
Mitchell Heating and Cooling is celebrating 51 years of trusted service. And to celebrate, get a furnace tune-up for just $51. That's peace of mind heating for only $51. Visit MitchellHVAC.com. Mitchell Heating and Cooling. Quality products and services on time from a family you trust. It's hard to stop a train.
The best solutions every time.
Breaking news coming in from Bet365, where every nail-biting overtime win, breakaway, pick six, three-point shot, underdog win, buzzer beater, shootout, walk-off, and absolutely every play in between is amazing. From football to basketball and hockey to baseball, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Gambling problem? Call 1-877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov. 21 plus only.
It's bow time.
A leg and thigh dinner from Bojangles for just $5.99.
Leg and thigh dinner from Bojangles for just $5.99.
So crispy.
So crispy.
And juicy.
And juicy.
So much flavor.
So much.
Stop it. What are you doing?
What, you expect me to get this delicious deal and not say anything?
You're unbelievable.
You're unbelievable.
With a boldly seasoned leg and thigh, choice of fixin', a biscuit, and legendary iced tea, it's a deal so good it's worth repeating. So eat and repeat while it lasts. It's bow time.
It's bow time. Dine in, drive through, or tap your favorite delivery app and have Bojangles come to you. Satisfy your craving for flavor right now with Bojangles 2-piece dinner. 2 pieces of Bojangles dark meat chicken, your choice of fixin', a biscuit, and iced tea for just $5.99. That's right, just $5.99 for limited time at participating Bojangles. What are you waiting for? When you're hungry, it's always bow time.
At Planet Fitness, we're declaring it. This is the year of getting stronger. And future stronger you can get started now by saving $28 or more when you join today. You in? We have all the best-in-class equipment you could ever need to keep stepping it up. And free fitness training to help you mix up your routine. Plus, most clubs are open 24 hours. So let's do this. Join Planet Fitness today and save $28 or more. Just $1 down, $15 a month, cancel anytime. Deal ends February 28th. See Home Club for details.
Progressive presents Renter's MVP's Most Valuable Possessions. Today's MVP, Joe Fallon's bedroom mini fridge. Sure, this pint-sized chiller's max capacity is 3 soda cans, but what it lacks in stature, it makes up in cooling strength. Each beverage a perfect 37 degrees every time. And the 2 feet Joe walks to get a drink, priceless. That's why his mini fridge is today's MVP. Keep your most valuable possessions protected by bundling your renters and auto insurance with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states.
Shopping with your parents can be embarrassing.
Why would they sell jeans with holes in them? I'm going to speak to the manager.
Mom!
That hoodie is giving. You should get it. YOLO.
Thanks to the Chase mobile app, your kid can shop independently while you keep an eye on their spending. So you can go from...
We can be twinsies.
...to...
How was shopping? Saw you stayed on budget.
Thanks, Mom.
Freedom for kids, control for parents. That's family banking from Chase.
Account subject to approval. Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank N.A. Member FDIC.
Gold. Gold.
Some of the best trades ever made are the ones you don't make. Again, I'm sure that there are tons of stories like that.
Kind of like a relationship. Sometimes the best ones are the ones that you didn't go out with. Like that person that you tried to, and then you see him 10 years later and you're like, ooh, dodged a bullet.
So you sound like you've been there.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Victoria spinning tracks today. And it is Wednesday, and we're late for my friend Chip Patterson, CBSSports.com. Cover 3 podcast moderator. Sir, it's always grand to see you. How do you feel today? I'm sorry. It's been I've been going through it the last few days.
Yeah, you've started the clock. Let me kick back on the couch and say I feel stretched. I feel a bit dizzy. You know, I'm kind of, going from one place to another, mentally, and I'm excited. It's that time of year, though.
All right, let me Jim Phillips had some comments yesterday that I quote tweeted, and I appreciate Jim about where his sensibilities lie. And I've said this about Jim Phillips before, that I think he is exactly what I would want in a conference commissioner, an NCAA president, except that what I would want and the reality of what we're experiencing in college athletics are not the same. And Jim is wondering whether or not the people who run college sports have the best interest in the whole. And I want to say, Jim, it ain't their job anymore. How do you view things like that?
Well, Jim has a seat at the table.
Right, but he ain't in charge. We know who's in charge.
Right, but he's there.
Right.
I mean, I think that all conference commissioners are hired at the pleasure of university presidents.
Mm-hmm.
And as I've said before, no conference is more difficult to get on the same page when you think of all the different university presidents, when you think of all the different athletic directors, the difference in university profile, not just public and private, but even what they the makeup of the school, what their goals, the way that they look at the next 5, 10 to 15 years in higher education. And there's no bigger discrepancy in terms of athletic department, both in terms of budget, revenue spending, and specifically as it pertains to these kinds of topics, how much you invest in your football program and revenue sports. So I think Jim Phillips is dealing with some issues in those boardrooms in New Orleans, but man, I think it's tough for him to just be able to find a consensus and sort of be somebody who can get everybody on the same page in his own house.
Oh, there's no question that he's probably got the most difficult, president to commissioner environment to deal with, because you have so many vocal, maybe not so many, but you certainly have high profile, vocal, people pulling you in a direction you don't really want to be pulled in. Like I said, in the best case scenario, the people who run these sports do think about the whole, but they don't. And that's just. I mean, we know this, so that's why I've been critical of Jim with regards to maybe he's not the right guy to lead the ACC. It bothers me to say this because I have so much respect for Jim Phillips. But I don't know that there's a way around this. It's not just the ACC, but does the ACC or the Big 12, is there any leverage? Because I know the SEC would like a different seeding model for this upcoming year. And I saw it was Matt Hayes from Sporting News USA Today, used to be with Sporting News, who said this is where the ACC and the Big 12 can make themselves financially whole. And I'm like, really? Seeding going to do that?
Well, no. So seeding is
leverage?
Yeah, there is a leverage play here, and there's some calculations that I think are being made. For those who aren't aware, nothing can change for the college football playoff for 2025, the upcoming season, unless there is a unanimous vote from everybody. And that includes all of the power conferences, all of the group of 5 conferences, that entire 10, and plus Notre Dame, that 10 or 11 vote, board of managers, they all have to be on the same page with it. You do not need unanimous votes for what happens for 2026 and beyond. And that is what's made these meetings actually a little bit interesting, is what does the SEC and the Big Ten want in terms of what can be done immediately? And if they can get everyone on the same page, is there any I scratch your back, you scratch mine when it comes to the way things are going to be set up? Because the conversations they are having about 2026 and beyond is, are we going to 14? Or are we going to 16? What is the setup going to be? Those are places where, especially with the 4-4-2-2-1-1 hike model, you are at a disadvantage, as we've talked about right here. Are there financial considerations? Are there ways that conference champions are going to be able to get some sort of advantageous edge in terms of the future model? If you give in to the desire to change the seating now? Are you going to help yourself for 2026 and beyond? And also, if you are the no vote, if you are the reason why it does not happen, are you screwing yourself over for any future vengeance that could be coming with 2026 and beyond? Because this one decision, whether we change the college football playoff at all for the 2025 season, is the only thing that really the ACC and the Big 12 have a say in. So I get where they're coming from here, but I don't have confidence. Like, just to skip to the end, I don't have confidence they're going to change it.
I don't think they will.
Think they're just going to stay put. Yeah, I think they're just going to stay put.
Because we'll suck it up for one more year with a stupid system, a stupid seating system, which probably impacted how it played out this year. I mean, the best team won. I got no problem with that. Ohio State, they sleptwalked through, unfortunately, a good chunk of the season. Didn't play up anywhere near their capability. And then when the lights went on, boom, they hit the ground and annihilated everybody.
I'll push back a little bit. They were a top 4 team all season.
Yeah, but they were winning, but they weren't winning the way. I mean, they could have, like, you and I talked about Indiana all year, and you and I were on opposite sides of that, and that's fine. Indiana got to where they were because they were crushing everybody they could.
Right.
Ohio State was not that. And then against Michigan, who wasn't all that great, albeit with some pretty good players, including some, maybe the first pick or one of the first picks in the draft. They lost that. Inexplicably lost a game they should not have lost. In another year, they would have been out of the playoff because of it. That was not the case this year, which is fine. I'm not arguing anything. But when the lights went on, we saw what Ohio State was all about, and that's cool, right? But I might have forgotten my larger point. But I keep getting back to this. Why can't we have a system? And for the SEC and the Big Ten, you'll just wait it out a year, and then you have enough more control because you don't need a unanimous vote for going forward. This is the last year you would need to be unanimous. But I don't understand why the SEC and the Big Ten. I mean, I do, I guess, but if you were thinking about the whole, why don't we just go, all right, we're going to 16. If you get in, the top 5 conference champions get a spot. Everything else is at large, and you get compensated based on your involvement. Who would argue that?
The conferences that want guaranteed numbers.
So what? Get better. Why does it have to be anything other than, like, we can complain about the NCAA tournament, but in basketball. But ultimately, you get in, you get out what you put in.
I think
that's the way it should be in football.
I think the college football playoff did this year, and even would in the 4-4-2-2-1-1 hike, still be rewarding units for wins, but you also get paid based on how many teams you get in. And I think the conferences like the cost certainty of being able to know how many they're going to get right off the bat.
That's like LIV versus the PGA Tour. Why don't we just get paid for what we do? Not who we are.
It's a new era in America, baby.
I understand. But you understand my point, right?
I mean, when I asked the question, what is so important about 4 when you likely are going to have 4 anyway, if not more, if we went all at larges? Yes. And the response I got was cost certainty.
Oh,
so like,
that's terrible.
Beat your head against the wall as much as you want. No. Like, that was the response I got when I asked the question.
Right. And I understand. Like, to me, more should be made of that. Like, you shouldn't be guaranteed anything. No, there should be zero guarantee. You have to earn it. And I don't understand why that's so hard. Coaches yell about that all the time. You got to earn it. Nobody's giving anything. Except here. We're giving something. That's my larger point about all of this, is that it seems like, especially the SEC, which, just to flip this to basketball for a second, they might get 14 teams into the NCAA tournament, and I'm 100% on board with that. What? I want the best teams in that field. I don't care if you play in a difficult league and your record doesn't look as good, but Georgia just beat Florida last night, right?
Mm-hmm.
Georgia's record ain't good, but I think they're an NCAA tournament team. Put them in. I got zero problem with it. I think the same thing about Vanderbilt. I don't think their record's great. Put them in. Arkansas, put them in. To me, those are NCAA tournament caliber teams. I don't care how good Wake's record is. I don't think they're a tournament team. I have my doubts about North Carolina, even with 21 or 22 wins. I don't know that Carolina would win 5 games in the SEC. So,
isn't it disappointing for Wake Forest? This will be 3 years in a row that you did it to yourself.
Yeah, but
right?
I think when you lose games like that, you have proven. To me, it's the bad. I've never understood. Like, I'm all over the place today. I might have been up late last night, Chip. Chip Patterson is with us here as he is on every Wednesday. To me, I've always wondered why we assign more. We should assign more importance to the wins or the good games, the good teams that you play. Like North Carolina, if they lose 3 times to Duke this year, now getting blown out 3 times to Duke would be different. But if they lose 3 times to Duke, doesn't mean they can't beat a whole bunch of other good teams. But it's the losses to bad teams that I think says more about who UNC is, who Wake Forest is. Heck, what happened to Pitt?
Mm-hmm.
Completely fell apart.
Pitt's done.
Yeah, I think they are.
Yeah,
I think.
I mean, and I don't do bracketology. You know, a long time ago, I got my hand stuck in the cookie jar, even daring to be a bracketologist. And our Sir Jerry Palm came down with his sword and he struck me down. So I stay in my more wagering centric, power rating centric,
right.
Chipolytics centric view of the world. That's where they ask me to contribute, and I do so. But yeah, I just think Pitt's cooked. You find these teams where they've lost their footing, and at one point in January or February they showed glimpses of it, but it's disappointing for Jeff Capel's crew, because I thought that was a team that could be in the NCAA tournament. But to your point, and especially with the Notre Dame loss, I mean, it's just you're done.
Yes. Real quick because I saw Pitt when they came to Duke, and I know Duke won the game by like 20-something points. But my takeaway from that game was Duke won that game by 20-something points because Duke is a wagon. I thought Pitt was good. My takeaway from that game was, man, Pitt can play.
Yeah, I know.
And they were broken by that game. I think they lost their next 4 after that, and they have not been the same since, and they have suffered inexplicable losses.
Duke team total over just might be a system play at this point. I mean, I could, and here's the thing is they aren't playing down.
No.
Like we think about the, especially in this area, we have had some wagons in college basketball. Mm-hmm. Teams that have gone through an NCAA tournament winning every game by double digits.
Carolina, 09.
Like you saw during the regular season, they'd slip up from time to time, but, get caught in something tight, need Ty Lawson to bail you out in Tallahassee. But for the most part, it was a group that just laid the wood every single time. And Duke's got that kind of look about them, man. They are relentless with the way that they pick teams apart.
They have 3 losses this year. They had the ball with a chance to take the lead or win in the last 30 seconds of all 3 of those games. All 3 of them. And none of them were at home. At Clemson, at Kansas, and was it at Kansas? Or that was they were both
Kansas
neutral.
And neutral Kentucky.
Right. Were they at Kansas, or was that also neutral? I don't know. I don't remember anymore. My brain does not function. Chip Patterson is joining us here. Dave Doran announced that all 15 practices would be closed to the media. Would be closed. No spring game. They canceled the spring game at Nebraska. What are people that paranoid? Or I guess schools are tampering, recruiting, portaling off of spring games? What happened to spring football and the joys of the spring game, and what is the SEC network and ACC network going to do without them?
Okay, now we're talking. See, I think the failures in the boardroom of a college football playoff meeting are small, and I think the failures of college football coaches with this decision to cancel the spring game among tampering paranoia are ruining the future of the sport. Because here's the deal. College football spring games are one of the most accessible ways for fans to get close to their favorite college football team. It is one of the best ways for a young fan to be able to experience college football at the highest levels. At Ohio State, the cost to be able to go to a game with a family of 4 is going through the roof. But if you want to go to their spring showcase, it's $8 general admission.
Wow.
At Oregon, it is a canned food drive to get you in the door. Many Power Conference spring games are free admission. And these kids and these parents, the kids don't even know it's not even a real game. Because if there are helmets, if there are pads, if there are jerseys, if they play music after touchdowns and there are cheerleaders and snacks, it is a football game. And I just think that this paranoia is leading everybody to strip away a great avenue to create your, excuse me. I forgot we're all about money in college sports now. Let me speak their language there. You are denying the opportunity to connect with your future customer base that you will be catering to for decades to come. You are denying yourself an opportunity to establish that kind of relationship that ROI cannot measure. And I think it is a disgrace that families and children are not able to experience college football in a fan-forward environment like the spring game because they're being taken off the board. Because there's one last thing. I understand injury risk. I understand you're playing 30 games in 2 years. Steve Sarkisian said as much. Then at least create something that your fans can be a part of. Don't go OTAs, 15 games, closed door. Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss, they do 7-on-7 football, a hot dog eating contest, and tug of war with the offensive line. But the place packs out and everybody gets to experience it. Do not deny yourself a chance to connect with the future of your fans.
That was one of the all-time great Chip Patterson rants.
There's a column on CBSSports.com that I read yesterday.
I apologize for not reading it. That is so. But what you're saying is that, and by the way, this is indicative, I think, all over our society. It's not just athletics. We have a very short-sighted view of everything.
Short-sightedness, 100%.
Right? And we're the word investing needs to be used more, because what these programs should be doing is investing in their customers, investing in young people, investing in their fans, but they really turn them away. And it is paranoia. When Matt Rule said it, I don't know how many players they lost to the portal after the spring game. I get it, but honestly, when you sell 90,000 tickets or whatever they do to pack the stadium in Lincoln, Nebraska in the middle of April for fake football, I just don't know how you take that away from your fan base.
Yeah. I mean, so we started, because Texas and USC, they added their name to the list of growing cancellations over the weekend. Matt Rule, as you mentioned, was at the forefront of it. And on Monday's Cover 3 podcast, we were just wandering through the question, just having a conversation. And I just off the top of my head, I said, isn't this one of the ways that young fans fall in love with college football? Isn't this an avenue that someone who could never be able to afford to get inside the stadium in the fall would be able to afford? We've got a 10% markup on season tickets for what's called a, quote, talent fee.
Talent fee, yep. I think Tennessee started that.
We are pricing out the everyday fan. We are pricing out young people. And I know I'm old man yelling at cloud, and I know that I'm sitting here as the father of 2 boys who, I've taken my oldest son to Broughton High School football game, and guess what? It was a football game. It was Broughton, but it was a football game. There was a marching band. There were cheerleaders. They play music after you score the touchdown. It was a football game. And I remember throwing the football around in the concourse at Carter Finley Stadium in Wallace Wade as a kid. My parents had season tickets at North Carolina. Like I see the families getting squeezed out of college football at the highest level, and ultimately that is denying yourself a chance to turn young people into diehard fans.
That speaks again all across sports, all across. It is one of those sad things. All right, I'm sure there are a ton of other things that we could get to real quick. Miami and Carson Beck, a bad marriage, or what do you think's going to happen there?
I think he'll be pretty good as long as he comes back healthy. I mean, we're talking about an elbow Tommy John type surgery for a quarterback on his throwing arm.
Doesn't he have? Isn't he out of cars now? Weren't all his cars stolen?
Nope. No thanks.
We'll just leave it. Chip Patterson, you are the best, man.
Oh, all right. One last one.
All right,
last.
sure.
Okay. So after the news broke, and what Adam is referencing is that Carson Beck had like Lamborghinis and a Mercedes.
He had two cars. And Haley? Is it Haley Cavender?
Hannah Cavender.
Hannah, his girlfriend, one of the Cavender twins. She had a car. 3 cars stolen from their house.
And do you know what they said on the Georgia message boards after the news broke?
No.
Even his cars get intercepted.
Oh! Ouch! That one hurt. You're the man.
All right. Sounds good. Y'all be well.
Chip Patterson. Think about that. Like, I don't know what the second car. He had a Lamborghini. That was stolen. She had a car stolen. And he had another car stolen. I don't know. Seems like a coincidence. Anyway, we'll break. We'll come back. We will stretch. We will place bets. I've been kind of I won one yesterday. I told you I didn't want to.
Yes.
We're trying to donate money to the Hurricanes' cause. But I won a parlay. I'll tell you what that was. Next.
Making more sports sense than social media trolls. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Hey, it's Adam Gold from my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. When the game tips off, the NBA action is just beginning on FanDuel. Again, America's #1 sports book, because FanDuel's your home for live NBA betting. So even if you miss the start of the game, you're not out of luck. However you want to play, now is the perfect time to join. New customers get started with $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com/AGS. FanDuel.com/AGS for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. FanDuel, make every moment more. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
Electricity. It's what powers our lives, from the ordinary to the extraordinary. In North Carolina, 26 local electric cooperatives provide energy to 2.8 million people across the state. But we're providing so much more than affordable, reliable power. We're helping to strengthen the people and communities that make our state great, today and for generations to come. North Carolina's electric cooperatives. Power you can count on, now and always. Learn more at ncelectriccooperatives.com.
Going to college gives you more career options. You could say it pays for itself, but it might not feel that way in the short term, especially when tuitions do. That's where the FAFSA comes in. The FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid. It's your gateway to money for college. Whether you're seeking scholarships, grants, work-study programs, or loans, it all starts with the FAFSA. So how about it? Make a plan for college and find everything you need for the FAFSA at cfnc.org.
As fall championships begin, the Governor's Highway Safety Program would like to remind you to buckle your seatbelt when traveling home from today's events. Whether you're driving out of town or across town this holiday season, wearing a seatbelt is your best defense against injury or death in a crash. During the busiest time of travel, prioritize your safety and buckle up. Every seat, every time. And remember, click it or ticket, it's the law. This message brought to you by the North Carolina High School Athletic Association and the Governor's Highway Safety Program.
AARP is working hard to make sure people in North Carolina are getting the most out of life. Whether it's helping you stay healthy, save more money, care for loved ones, or simply have some fun, AARP is making a difference in communities across the state. You have a wise friend and fierce defender with AARP. Learn more about progress being made for older adults in the state by listening to AARP Without Limits. You can find the latest episodes of AARP Without Limits wherever you listen to your podcasts.
It's okay not to be okay. Feelings of loneliness, anger, and worry are completely normal, and you're not alone. If you need help coping, call, text, or chat the free 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. Someone is always there to talk, day or night. Together, we will find the care that works for you. Just call, text, or chat 988 anytime to talk to a trained counselor who will listen, provide support, and connect you to other resources that can help. Let's get through it together. Brought to you by the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services.
Did you know that since you have public power, your electricity is operated and controlled by people in your community, not by a for-profit, investor-owned company? These local folks are directly accountable to you. They don't answer to shareholders. They make decisions for the good of your community. What's more, your public power provider invests in your community, providing jobs and supporting your local economy. Local people working together to meet local needs. That's public power. Learn more at electricities.com.
Gold. Gold.
Was the hug because of the soft, fuzzy thing you're wearing?
It's a comment. I'm a great hugger. People like to hug me. But yes, it's helpful when I'm soft and fuzzy.
Is that a skill?
It may be, yes.
I think it is a skill.
I think it is a skill.
Yeah.
You know who else gives really great hugs? Mike Meniscalco.
Really?
He is one of my favorite huggers. Yes. Every time I see him, he gives the best hugs.
I'm going to try that at the next home game.
Do it.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Victoria's here. That was a nice rant from Chip. He's looking out for the little people.
Love it.
So, yeah, I mean, we there are two ways to look at what the college football ecosystem is doing. And it is 100% leaning towards professionalism, which, look, they make a ton of money at it, so I get it. But by doing so, they are really damaging fans. But they don't care.
No. That's the thing.
It is exactly what we said it was going to be, professional sports. All right, it's time to stretch.
Okay, so I don't know if you remember this. I cannot believe that it was this long ago, but 10 years ago today, the dress made its appearance. Do you remember the dress?
Oh, what color is the dress?
Yes.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Which started the whole, what was it, Laurel and Yanny thing, too. So if you don't remember said dress from 10 years ago, it is what a lot of people thought was white and gold, but it's actually a blue and black dress.
Yes.
Which I was a white and golder. Like, I look at it and I'm like, yeah, it's white and gold. Duh. What are you looking at? This all started on Tumblr. Remember that way back when? On February 26th, 2015. It was also featured on another old school thing, BuzzFeed. I don't know if that's still around, but I used to frequent BuzzFeed all the time. 2/3 of people, you are not alone, thought that it was a white gold dress, but later on they exposed that it's just an optical illusion caused by weird lighting and overexposed background. This is why you can't trust anything on the internet.
Right. That is true.
So do not
It's like all
believe
the
it.
people who send me still pictures of fouls. See? No still photos.
Yes.
No still photos.
Yeah, no.
Videos.
I'm no stranger to Photoshop. So, yeah, that's a thing. And 10 years ago, maybe that wasn't as big of a thing. Definitely is a thing now. So back then, that had everybody buzzing and, of course, led into the Laurel Yanny thing, all that stuff. But it is, in fact, apparently, and I have not seen these things that they've done. They've taken said dress and put it in different situations so you can actually see that it is most definitely blue and black, but I've not seen that. I have to check it out. It still looks white and gold to me if I'm looking at the other picture, but it's not. It's black and blue. But that's 10-year anniversary. Like, what? A decade? Oh, man. That makes me feel old. Another thing that makes me feel old is The Price is Right, which today they are airing their 10,000th episode.
Price is Right?
Yes.
I would not have guessed. I would have gone over.
Oh, really?
If I would have guessed. Somebody asked me to guess how many episodes for Price is Right. I would have, yes, so I would have gotten it wrong.
You would have taken the over. Well.
So you're not supposed to go over.
You're not supposed to go
Price
over.
Is the Showcase Showdown.
It's the exact or lower, closest to. You can't go over.
You always pass up the first one.
Oh, yeah.
Right, always pass up the first one, then the second one.
Have to. It's just mandatory.
Did you have a favorite game?
Ooh, everybody liked Plinko. I like the punch board one. That one's good, too. I always felt like I knew where to punch.
I always like to guess the number of the cost of the car.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's a good one, too. Yeah. You got to put in California prices because that's the other thing. But so today, I feel like The Price is Right's probably already been on in our area. But if you really want to go back and look, you can see because they were giving away $90,000 worth of cash and prizes. They also went over the 75,000 people that they have called to come on down. And these contestants have won more than $300 million in cash and prizes. Just a little bit. So, yeah. Drew Carey was talking about how awesome it is being the host, but you know what? Bob's always going to be my dude. So,
yeah, I mean, Bob Barker, like that microphone.
Yeah, right?
Tiny.
The longest with the little thing, a marble on top.
Gene Rayburn from Match Game.
Right? Exactly.
I love that show.
Oh, that's a good one.
Big fan.
There's a new version of that too.
Yeah.
They've modernized
all the new
it
versions
with the
of these
Baldwin.
things. Yeah, I'm not sorry.
Yeah.
The new versions of the Hollywood Squares is still on. Stop it.
Oh yeah, no.
Stop it.
No, that's not as good. Yeah. But you know what might be just as good? Our bets.
Place your bets. Place your bets. Here we are. I bet you slice into the woods $100.
Gambling is illegal at Bushwood, sir, and I never slide.
Okay, you can owe me. I owe you nothing.
All right, so yesterday.
Yes.
I tried to buy a Hurricanes win. I did a one of those exotic parlays on FanDuel, and it was the Canadiens money line, Cole Caulfield, Nick Suzuki each to have at least one scoring point. So that's plus 450 and it hit.
No,
I apologize.
Yeah, it's okay.
I felt bad.
Right. You tried.
But I did my best. I did my part.
Right.
I did my part. Also,
not.
the four team
yes
soccer
was
parlay.
Like plus 2,400 or 10,000.
I went 3 out of 4.
Oh, I am the queen of all but one. So, in parlays.
That's exactly what I was.
Oh, yeah.
All right, we're going to try it again today anyway.
Tonight, I have to do this even though I don't want to because it brings up bad memories. But the New Jersey Devils are going to be in Colorado taking on the Avalanche. And give me our old friend Martin Necas to be an anytime goal scorer. He's plus 220.
He's been 220. That's not too terrible.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We've been good at least with the games, right? We tried to go under both the last 2 games.
Yeah.
It hasn't worked. NC State is winning the game at Syracuse. It's minus like 105.
Oh.
Because it's only they're plus a point and a half. They're a slight underdog. But State's winning the game at Syracuse. So just go straight money line
Yeah.
on the Wolfpack.
Oh, there you go. Next up, the Vancouver Canucks are going to be in LA taking on the Kings, who are hot right now, actually. Just beat the Golden Knights. Give me the Kings to win, and they also win by a lot of points. So I'm taking over 5.5. That's plus 220.
All right, here you go. 5-team parlay. Well, we don't have time to give all 5 teams. But I'll tell you those 5 teams in the Premier League next.
From the heels
Touchdown, Carolina.
to the Canes.
She scores!
He covers it all. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Hey, it's Adam Gold, and do you have a late-night craving for in-depth analysis on the Carolina Hurricanes and their latest game, their latest win, their pursuit of a Stanley Cup? Well, I can quench your thirst. I can feed that appetite on the Canes Corner podcast, the morning after edition, which drops the morning after every Hurricanes game. Get it wherever you get your podcast. Brought to you by the Aluminum Company of North Carolina.
Tired of wandering the aisles of those big box stores, struggling to find the help you need? At Home Outlet, we do things differently. First, we guarantee the lowest price on kitchens, baths, floors, and more. Find it cheaper somewhere else? We'll beat it by 10%. Second, we're employee owned. Yep, the folks helping you design your dream kitchen actually own the place. You're not just another customer to us. You're the customer. So why deal with the other stores? Break up with the big box and upgrade to Home Outlet. Find a location near you at homeoutlet.com.
Tired of hearing this from your local tire place?
Sorry, we can't fix it. Take it to Dauntless.
This year, skip the middleman and take your car straight to Dauntless Transmissions if you want quality work done right the first time. Transmissions, engine, or brake work, or just a regular tune-up. If it's broke, Dauntless will fix it. For quality work done with the kind of experience that works for you, take it to Dauntless Transmissions first. Go to DauntlessTransmissions.com to book your visit today. Dauntless Transmissions, your local source for exceptional service.
There's so much to love about North Carolina, but we all want more. More boundless views, more pristine scenery, more wildlife, more adventures, and more clean roads to get there. But to get more, we have to do less. Less littering, that is. Properly disposing of waste is never a waste of time. It leads to a more enjoyable environment for much longer. So, when traveling in North Carolina, make it your nature to trash your trash. Leave it more beautiful than when you found it. And we will all have more reasons to love NC. Litter less, get more. For more on the 7 outdoor NC Leave No Trace principles, visit OutdoorNC.com. Sponsored by the North Carolina Association of Broadcasters and Visit North Carolina, and part of the Economic Development Partnership of North Carolina, in cooperation with this station.
At Uline, the prevailing opinion is, if you don't live it, you don't believe it. The people at Uline believe in hard work, and they live it by being there 24/7 to answer your call, having 41,000 items in stock, and offering same-day shipping from 12 locations across North America. Business owners, sellers, buyers, shippers, and packers believe it. Uline is the hard-working, dependable source for your shipping and industrial supplies. Visit uline.com.
In World War I, American fighter pilots covering a plane's rear position coined the phrase, "I've got your six," to mean I've got your back. Through their service, veterans have our backs. Now we should have theirs. Learn more at gotyoursix.org using the number 6.
Shopping with your parents can be embarrassing.
Why would they sell jeans with holes in them? I'm going to speak to the manager.
Mom!
That hoodie is giving. You should get it. YOLO.
Thanks to the Chase mobile app, your kid can shop independently while you keep an eye on their spending. So you can go from...
We can be twinsies.
...to...
How was shopping? Saw you stayed on budget.
Thanks, Mom.
Freedom for kids, control for parents. That's family banking from Chase.
Account subject to approval. Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank N.A. member.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm. Injury lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it. Go to ritchielaw.com.
That's ritchielaw.com.
They score! WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on the radio, Instagram, TikTok, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
At least create something that your fans can be a part of. Don't go OTAs, 15 games, closed door. Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss, they do 7-on-7 football, a hot dog eating contest, and tug of war with the offensive line. But the place packs out and everybody gets to experience it. Do not deny yourself a chance to connect with the future of your fans.
It's the Adam Gold Show. That was Chip Patterson from last hour. If you missed it, shame. But it will be part of the Best of the Adam Gold Show podcast coming up after the program. We are here until 3 o'clock today. I appreciate your time. the show, I guess it's a game. Show is always on YouTube, youtube.com/Adam Gold Show, /999 The Fan. Invite you to like, subscribe, share, do whatever you have to do. I don't know if we smash buttons anymore, but if that's what you do, feel free. Smash away. We've got some Cane stuff, some football stuff to discuss as well. I do want to finish out the last segment where we place bets. Yesterday, I got 3 of the 4 in my Premier League 4-leg parlay right. Maybe we'll go for 5 today because there are 5 games. Tottenham, home to Man City. A draw between Arsenal and Nottingham Forest. Manchester United to somehow beat Ipswich. Come on. Ipswich is going down. You gotta win that game, United. Brentford over Everton at the G-Tech, and Liverpool to beat Newcastle. That's a cool plus 6,000. It's worth $1. Maybe 2. All right, there's that. Also, Diana Taurasi announced her retirement yesterday. And we're going to talk a little women's hockey here in a second. But Diana Taurasi, for me, is the greatest female basketball player ever that I have seen, at least with my own eyes. Her resume, her list of accomplishments is unmatched by anybody anywhere. And I watched her play in one of the greatest performances I have seen by a women's team. Connecticut #2 at Duke #1 in 2003 at Cameron Indoor Stadium. And Taurasi and company dominated the game. Absolutely dominated the game. All right, we'll go through those accolades in a bit. Will Brinson's going to join us in about 15 minutes. We've got stuff to do, but the Professional Women's Hockey League doing a takeover tour, and they will be at Lenovo Center coming up next week on Friday, trade deadline day. Think about this. The Hurricanes, I don't know what the Canes are going to do on deadline day, but we're going to take our minds off of this by watching some of the greatest players in the world with the PWHL. It's Ottawa and Minnesota. And Minnesota, if I'm not mistaken, has Kendall Coyne-Schofield, who shouldn't she win like the fastest skater competition a few years ago at the All-Star game? Tessa Bonhomme is here. She is with the Professional Women's Hockey League. She does the Jocks and Jills podcast, and there she is. First of all, thank you very much for your time.
Thanks for having me.
Did Kendall Coyne-Schofield win that? She was certainly involved in it, right?
In what, sorry?
In the fastest skater competition.
Yeah, that's when literally Kendall put women's hockey on the map all by herself. I'm not sure if she won it, but she basically knocked every guy that was on the bench on the ground. Their jaws hit the floor. Connor McDavid was like, "That's fast," and if Connor's telling you you're fast, you're fast.
See, that's the way I remember it.
Yeah, and do you want to know what the craziest thing is? Is like I need her retested because this year, I threw it out there at the beginning of the season a little bit. She's faster this year. I was like, this sounds insane and like totally crazy, but is she faster? And everyone's like, okay, I thought the same thing. And it's like, is that possible? I don't know, but I swear to God, she is.
So walk me through the evolution of this, if you will, because it's not new. It's there have been multiple leagues, right? And then there had to be a coming together. I'm not sure exactly where everything is here, but explain to me how this is catching on. Is the barnstorming really a big part of this? I know that has worked in other sports, kind of in a developmental stage. So walk me through where we are.
So where it began basically is there were a bunch of different iterations of this league, one of which I played in, the CWHL. There was also the PHF, the Professional Hockey Federation. And basically everyone kept telling them there cannot be 2 leagues. We need all of the best players in one. And so the CWHL took that to heart. They're like, cool, we're disbanding. We're not having a league. And the PHF kept trying to hold on. And inevitably the ladies that formed the PWHPA, they decided, you know what, we're going to practice by ourselves. We're going to get together and play games against each other. We'll create our own teams until there's a serious investor that wants to come in. And that's when the Mark Walter group kind of stepped forward and was like, got you. And then they bought out the other league that was left, disbanded it themselves, and created this league that we see here. Now, this took off like wildfire. It was insane how the first season went, quite frankly. I had expectations, being a past female player myself and playing in these leagues, knowing what kind of appetite was there, and then watching all of this take place. I went to the first ever game. The lineup was around the block. Tickets were selling for like $250 on the street. And I was like, this is insanity. I can't believe this. I had friends, people I hadn't talked to in years reach out to me, begging me to help them get tickets. They could not get tickets to any game in Toronto. They were completely sold out. That being said, it was like that everywhere. Everyone just wanted a piece of these women, and rightfully so. Like you said, some of the best hockey players in the world right now are going head to head and toe to toe. And you're not dropping, for instance, I live in Toronto, you're not dropping $500+ to get a good seat to watch these ladies, to get, firsthand view at some of the best head-to-head action outside of the Olympics. The coolest part is you can get, Marie-Philippe Poulin, arguably the GOAT, playing against Hillary Knight, arguably the American GOAT, for under $100. Like, are you kidding me? And it's kind of on the regular. And pardon my son here.
It's fine.
And
he might have something to say. I don't know.
Right? Do you have something to say, Theo? No. Then the beautiful part about it is after the game, and even before these games, like you'll see in Raleigh, when these teams land, they're not going out for a 5-star dinner. They literally integrate themselves into the community. They're doing community involvement. They're getting to know young hockey players. They're meeting these players. And I say this truthfully, this is the best league because of who these women are. And they are truly down to earth and your regular Joe people, where they just want to get to know everyone. They're not star-studded. They're not, they don't have that celebrity feel. They're the type of people that you'll run into at a bar having a beer, and they will gladly watch any type of hockey game with you.
Tessa Bonhomme is joining us here on the Adam Gold Shows with the Professional Women's Hockey League, TSN analyst as well, an Olympic gold medalist. All right, so because I think there is star power here. And it might not be for like normal American sports fan consumption. But we've watched these women play. And we've watched these women play in gold medal games and in other series. And I also think that there is a crossover with the explosion of women's sports, because I believe it really started in earnest a few years ago with the Women's European Soccer Championships, where they figured out, oh my gosh, people care. They're gonna pack big stadiums to watch the best athletes in the world play, and now we see the explosion in women's basketball, and hockey's right there too.
Yeah, and it's funny because you can talk to any soccer player, any basketball player, and it's like, yeah, we knew this. You know what I mean? We knew there was an appetite for women's hockey in particular at the Olympics every 4 years. One of the most watched games was the women's hockey final. It matched, if not surpassed, the men's final. So we knew there was always an appetite, and I feel like platform matters, obviously. The Caitlin Clark effect was a huge thing. I grew up on Diana Taurasi, so watching her retire really made me emotional as well. Man, I know, I heard you. And I got to meet Sue Bird in Seattle at the Takeover Tour there, and it's like, I like to consider myself someone who doesn't fangirl, but when you put yourself in front of Sue Bird, like I went to university when she was at UConn, and I cheered for her and Diana to win these national championships, right? So it was like, oh my gosh, like I grew up with you and you have no idea who I am. Anyways, this is where these ladies come into play is that there's massive star power. You want to talk about Kendall Coyne-Schofield, great. But then you got the future of USA hockey and Taylor Heisey, who is on the Minnesota Frost. You got Grace Zumwickle, who's an up-and-coming stud. You got Sophie Jakes, who's really pushing to try and make the Canadian national roster on the back end. Then you got the goaltending duo in Minnesota, which quite frankly to me seems incredibly unfair. They have Nicole Hensley, who is a bona fide Olympian, and they have Nicole Rooney, who won the first Olympic gold medal in 20 years for Team USA in a shootout, stopping some of the best players, not just once, but twice. At a ripe young age of 20, I think she was 20, maybe just turned 21. So on the Minnesota side of things, you're kind of laughing. It's like, am I paying enough for this? Like, are you sure I get to rub elbow with these people? Like, my kid can actually talk to them, kind of thing. And then on Ottawa's side, I mean, for an American standpoint, you got Gabby Hughes, who I think is, quite frankly, one of the greatest characters in the league. She is one of the funniest individuals who can also play hockey with the best of them. You got a leader like Brianne Jenner, who's been to multiple Olympics on the Canadian side of things, and you got Emmerich Smashmeyer, who's been a star-studded goaltender this entire season. She's single-handedly kept her team in games. The coolest part about this Ottawa team, though, and I gotta say, is they have a very large contingent of players from Czechia, and Czechia's been on the rise on the women's side, big time here. But the best part is, and I love this, her name is Teresa Vanisova, and she plays Canadian style hockey. She recently just dropped the gloves in one of the games. She dropped the mitts. Yeah, she got in a tilt with a Canadian player on Boston, Jill Saunier. And I had asked Jill Saunier afterwards, I'm like, how'd that happen? And she was like, honestly, she just is so good at getting under the skin. She plays like a Canadian, and she got me. Like, she had me. And I was like, that's hilarious.
Aren't they wearing masks?
This kid... Yeah,
Cages?
they do. They were swinging at each other. Yeah, they were trying to grab each other's jerseys. You saw it. It got broken up. But there were probably about 4 or 5 connections there. And I was like, oh, that didn't look comfortable at all. Nonetheless, you ISO her when she's on the ice, and you're going to be like, this kid hates losing. Like, I don't know anyone that hates losing more than this kid. And she plays like it, which is nice. So I feel like Raleigh's got a great thing coming. Even if you're not a hockey fan, if you're just a sports fan, honestly, it is such a good time. There is something about the vibe in a PWHL hockey game that is above and beyond anything else you experience in a sporting venue. It's such a welcoming, fun. It's the best.
Can any of these women help the Hurricanes power play?
Well,
uncomfortable silence. We didn't want that.
Yeah.
Can any help? We need help.
Honestly, yeah, I follow the KISS method when that happens, the keep it simple, stupid, kind of thing. They do need help right now in the league, the Toronto Scepters power play is on an 8-game scoring streak. I think it recently just got, last night it came to an end. However, they've been functioning since the beginning of middle of January at 48.8%. It's like, so just don't get a penalty against Toronto. So maybe they can fly in whoever's running Toronto Scepters power play for the Hurricanes and get that thing going.
48.8%. All right, before we let Tessa Bonhomme go, TSN hockey analyst, also co-host of the Jocks and Jills podcast with the Professional Women's Hockey League. What are like Darren Drager and those guys up there saying about Mikko Rantanen?
Honestly, I haven't talked to Dregs in quite some time, just because I've been so divulged in this league and what's going on. And obviously the Women's World Championships are coming up in April as well. But if you ever want to know any type of inside, Dregs is the guy to go to. Him and Bobby Mack truly lead the way on insider info. And I've had a grand old time with Dregs covering the Men's World Hockey Championships over in Europe as well. He's just, as in hockey terms, he's a beauty. One of my faves.
I thank you very much. Friday, it'll be Ottawa and Minnesota, the PWHL Takeover Tour at Lenovo Center. Is there a website people can go, or to just go to the Lenovo Center website and you can get all the information there?
I believe you can go on the PWHL website, and under schedule, if you go to that game, there will be an avenue to take you to buy tickets. I could be completely wrong with that, but it will also, the Takeover Tour tab on the website will let you know where to go and how to purchase tickets. So by all means, everyone, get out there and get loud. It's so much fun. I'm excited for all y'all. I hope you get to check it out too.
Tessa, thank you very much for the time. Let's do it again.
Cheers. Sounds good.
Take care. Tessa Bonhomme from with the PWHL Jocks and Jills podcast. When we come back, Will Brinson on what's next for the Panthers, some things that Dave Canales and company said. Also, is the tush push going to be banned? Come on. I'm for banning it, by the way. Next.
Questioning goalie interference calls since day one. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Listen for the "Did he just do that?"
Johnson trying to step back for a three. Bring it up. Left side. Boy, that was cold-blooded.
The deep looks from downtown.
Damas from the right block. Gives to Hawkins. Straight on. Triple. Good. They left him open, and he makes him pay.
The get that out of here's.
Bonner to the basket. Rejected by Renew, who saw that one coming.
Your exclusive home for the Final Four. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports leader.
Don't go through another year with all that high interest debt. Let Loan Pronto wipe it all out now. Hey, it's Dennis Cox. Loan Pronto's Rapid Equity Loan makes it easy to pay off all your credit cards or tackle that 2025 home improvement project. Get cash in your pocket fast. No appraisals, no paperwork, no waiting. Loan Pronto's AI-driven tech gets you approved and funded in as little as 1 day. One client got $150,000 approved in under 24 hours. Paid off all their credit cards, 2 cars, and a personal loan, saving over $1,500 per month. With low fixed rates and lightning fast transfers, you can do it too. Consolidate debt, improve your home, take control of your finances. Imagine being credit card debt-free by this time next week. Don't wait. Call Loan Pronto now, 919-381-1760, or visit loanpronto.com. Get a free rate quote with no hard credit pull, 919-381-1760, loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
A new game has landed in North Carolina. Officials are calling this new species of game Cash Pop. So easy to play, it's out of this world. Reports confirm you just pick and match one number to win up to $2,500. With 5 drawings every day, cash landings have been cited across the state. So be on the lookout for Cash Pop from the North Carolina Education Lottery. The wins are out there. Must be 18 to play. See Cash Pop prize and odds chart at nclottery.com for details. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
At Planet Fitness, we're declaring it. This is the year of getting stronger. And future stronger you can get started now by saving $28 or more when you join today. You in? We have all the best in-class equipment you could ever need to keep stepping it up. And free fitness training to help you mix up your routine. Plus, most clubs are open 24 hours. So let's do this. Join Planet Fitness today and save $28 or more. Just $1 down, $15 a month, cancel anytime. Deal ends February 28th. See Home Club for details.
It's bow time.
A leg and thigh dinner from Bojangles for just $5.99?
Leg and thigh dinner from Bojangles for just $5.99?
So crispy.
So crispy.
And juicy.
And juicy.
So much flavor.
So much.
Stop it. What are you doing?
What, you expect me to get this delicious deal and not say anything?
You're unbelievable.
You're unbelievable.
With a boldly seasoned leg and thigh, choice of fixin', a biscuit, and legendary iced tea, it's a deal so good it's worth repeating. So eat and repeat while it lasts. It's bow time.
It's bow time. Dine in, drive through, or tap your favorite delivery app and have Bojangles come to you. Satisfy your craving for flavor right now with Bojangles 2-piece dinner. 2 pieces of Bojangles dark meat chicken, your choice of fixin', a biscuit, and iced tea for just $5.99. That's right, just $5.99 for limited time at participating Bojangles. What are you waiting for? When you're hungry, it's always bow time.
It's back, folks, and it's better than ever. Who wants to win a custom Caniacs motorcycle? Dennis Cox here for Law Tigers. The Carolina Hurricanes, Law Tigers, Tobacco Road Harley-Davidson, and Shiny Side Paint are teaming up again to give one lucky fan a custom Caniacs motorcycle. Go to caniacsbike.com to enter. Sign-ups last until April 6th, and the bike will be given away on the final home game of the season. caniacsbike.com. Law Tigers is a network of independent law firms who are members of the American Association of Motorcycle Injury Lawyers. Law Tigers is not a law firm.
This is Adam Gold.
But whenever you say, well, we're not using this as an excuse, no, you are. Whether it's justifiable or not can be a different discussion, but you are.
It's like the equivalent of saying no offense, but ...
Offense coming.
Yeah, get ready for it.
Look out. Here we come with some offense for you.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Victoria. Spinning tracks all day long. Very good. I'm a fan of Huey Lewis. Huey Lewis in the news, it's impossible to not smile when you play Huey Lewis. I mean, I realize it's not necessarily, musically complex but Huey Lewis is just fun. So yesterday we talked about the potential that the Green Bay Packers are kind of spearheading a movement to ban the tush push. And this has made people, get all in their feels. Well, just stop it better. It's not about whether or not you can stop it. It's whether or not it should be illegal. I wouldn't make anything illegal based on a success rate. We didn't make the extra point illegal. We did make it more difficult by moving it back. That just added some jeopardy to the situation. It's still successful at probably nearly a 90% rate, maybe even stronger. But what I don't understand about the tush push is if I can't pull you into the end zone, why can I push you? That doesn't make great sense to me. It's not about danger because all plays are dangerous. We're not banning football because the game is dangerous. And the tush push isn't necessarily more dangerous than any other play from scrimmage. My question is, if you can't drag a player into the end zone, why can I push him? That doesn't make any sense to me. I'd be in favor of, if you can't get into the end zone on your own accord, then that's it. Or get a first down, then that's it. That's the way I look at it. I could be wrong. One other football thing before we bring in Will Brinson here. I heard Dan Morgan talking about this. We played some clips yesterday. Dave Canales as well. There is this notion that the Panthers are fine on the offensive line. They don't have to add anything. And maybe I'm crazy, but I would always add to your offensive line. Granted, they need defensive line help first and foremost, whether it's an edge rusher, defensive tackle, or both, or multiples. But I would not, in any way, shape, or form, stop improving my offensive line. I think we're lost if we think the Panthers are elite in that category. Will Brinson, senior NFL writer, CBSSports.com, joins us on the Adam Gold Show. We're starting the part of the workouts, crazy Olympic phase of the combine. I don't really want to get into that too much, but I am curious your thoughts on the Packers spearheading a movement to ban the tush push, which I think should be banned.
Well, I mean, I'm not surprised by it. Mark Murphy came out and said during like a fan, there's like a mailbag during the playoffs before the Super Bowl. Like Packers fans could submit their mailbag questions and he would answer them. And he said that he wanted to ban the tush push. I wrote about it then, and that they. I think it's hilarious that when we first started hearing the reports, it was like an unnamed team has submitted a proposal. It's like, yeah, I think we can guess who it is. It's the team run by the guy who was already complaining about the tush push. Now, like I kind of get both sides of this. I know that's not a great radio answer, but Nick Sirianni had a good answer to it. He was asked about it. He's like, well, we work really hard at it, and it's not, it's like an easy, quote unquote, easy play to run. But you still have to have the personnel. You still have to have have a quarterback that it's sort of like I look at it like the way that Bill Belichick would routinely find loopholes in the NFL rulebook to try and exploit opportunities in games. I mean, that's really all it is. So to come back and you've seen teams adapt to it. Like the Bills were even more efficient than the Eagles last year. So
except when it mattered.
It's like, well, right, yeah, but it's like, yeah, but the Chiefs figured out a way to stop them. I mean, that's what football is, right? So it's like every time we have something pop up where it doesn't benefit like one or several teams or a bunch of teams, and it's hard to stop. You can't just be like, well, change the rules. This isn't fair. I mean, I get like changing overtime because it's inherently unfair that only one team gets to possess the ball. But you know what? Yeah, everybody had a chance to draft Jalen Hurts, and a lot of teams passed.
Right. Well, here's my point on why I think it should be banned. First of all, I would never, ever, ever ban something based on a success rate. I just don't. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But you're not allowed to drag a player, right? I I can't pick you up and throw you in the end zone, right?
You can push a player forward.
Yeah, no, you can push a player forward, but you can't pull a player forward.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, I mean.
So
right,
why?
But,
if you can't get in the end zone on your own, then you don't belong there. That's my point.
We see all the time where a running back will run into the line of scrimmage near the end zone, get kind of stopped. He's still standing up. His forward momentum still going. An offensive lineman will come running in and like push him forward. He crosses the line, crosses the goal line. It's a touchdown. It's the same sort of thing.
It is the same sort of thing. I get that, and I am not even. I am well aware that it would be difficult to police, but if I can't pull you into the end zone, then I shouldn't be able to push you either.
Well, there's a lot of push and pull there. But, by the way, on the Eagles, just real quickly, I know you mentioned the Panthers offensive line thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you're going to ask about it, but like the Eagles are a really good example, and having just won the Super Bowl, it makes a ton of sense of why you can't look at a position on your roster, whether it's, obviously quarterback, but whatever position it is, and say, we are totally set for life, because injuries happen and, play changes. Like you see the level of play change for guys from year to year for various reasons. Now, the Panthers have talent on the offensive line. They have consistency. But look at the Eagles going and drafting Cam Jurgens and Landon Dickerson. And then on the defensive side, Jalen Carter, load up with these Georgia guys, Jordan Davis. And, you get that depth and that level of talent where in the event that a Jason Kelce walks away from football or a Fletcher Cox walks away from football or both in 1 year, you still have the talent and the depth at those positions to go out and win a Super Bowl. And I think that's a really, really important aspect of all of that is you shouldn't get to, if you're, let's say it's the second round and the Panthers have, a higher grade on an offensive lineman who's available than a position of need, you should still draft the offensive lineman, because down the road at some point you are probably going to need him in a game.
Mm-hmm.
And secondly, you can develop him into a player that maybe allows you to let a higher priced player walk away, which then frees up salary cap space or gets you younger in the position. There's myriad reasons why you should never say, with few exceptions, right? If you have, Panthers probably don't need to draft another running back,
right,
until the fifth round. But those are instances where you think, all right, we're good here. We're just going to attack these. You should never attack free agency and the draft with the idea that we're just going to take care of our needs and we'll be set for the coming year because we filled those holes. You need to acquire the best players and then worry about the needs later, because better players around will help those holes become less significant.
Will Brinson is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. And to me, these are the conversations that I think are the most important about, especially the Panthers going forward. And I think there are probably other positions. If you feel like and the Panthers are not in this place, but if you feel like you're set at wide receiver or running back, yeah, I get not exploring that. You'll bring in some undrafted free agents. Who knows? Maybe if somebody shows up that can make your team. But the offensive line and the defensive line, to me, are the two most important parts, other than quarterback, of any good football team. Yes, Philadelphia, Buffalo, Kansas City, the teams that win all the time, they prove it year after year after year after year.
Look no further than Kansas City's offensive line in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
They were, injuries and attrition at the offensive line caused them to be unable to stand up against first the Buccaneers a few years ago when they completely retooled the offensive line, signing Joe Thuney, drafting Creed Humphrey, trading for Orlando Brown. And then now they're probably going to have to do it again this offseason. And I think the only exception in the draft or free agency particularly the draft, because you're selecting the players versus, going out and picking who you're signing, when you could say, all right, let's think of the position of need, is when you just have, it's the ultimate tiebreaker. If you have two players who are basically even on your draft board at different positions, then maybe use need as a tiebreaker. But other than that, you should be going after the best players and then sort of, filling in holes later around in the second wave of free agency.
Will Brinson is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. I know this is not your company, but I saw a mock draft from another gentleman who has made his living doing this, and a good one. And I've been in his living room.
Mel Kiper?
Yes.
What's Mel Kiper's living room like? That's weird.
It's very old school Baltimore.
That's cool. I didn't realize he was Baltimore. That's awesome.
Yeah. But he has Ashton Genty from Boise State.
Boise State, yeah.
Going like 7th overall into a team that shouldn't be picking a running back 7th. Here's my wonder. Because I'm not criticizing the Giants I never did for letting Saquon Barkley walk. If you've got a bad team, you don't need a great running back. You need everything else if you have a bad team. It's like the worst team in baseball with a great closer. Who cares? Get rid of that guy and go make your team better, so you need a closer. So I don't get why.
It's a great running back is like a bowl of au poivre sauce. You know, like it's probably delicious, but it's better on a steak that's been properly cooked and prepared and is a full meal. You don't want to be sitting there spooning au poivre sauce into your mouth because the results are just going to be ugly.
That's just a great analogy. It's just a great analogy. So I don't get why teams who are drafting high who are also bad, because occasionally you get a team with a draft pick that happens to be good and only needs one piece to put themselves over, and that's the piece. If you want to add the running back, then by all means. If the Giants were any good when they drafted Saquon Barkley too, it would have made sense. But they weren't, so it didn't. I don't get, like, I wouldn't want to go to a team 7th if they stunk. If I was a great running back, I'm just going to get abused. We're not going to win unless you don't care about winning.
Yeah, the selfish angle of that is if you go 7th overall as a running back, you're going to get so much money that, versus going to the 2nd round and, the 5th-year option, all that stuff. But yeah, like if you're drafting in the top 10, you probably, the only reason you should really be considering a running back is if the grade on the running back is so insanely high. And I get that Dave Gettleman had a crazy grade on Saquon Barkley. It was a justifiable grade, but there were other great players available too. Significantly great players available, like Josh Allen. And I don't know, maybe he would have worked out better. Although Saquon got a championship first. But to me, the best example of the running back position, and I think the whole debate and conversation has gotten skewed over the last, 9 months, year, whatever it is. You have Derrick Henry go to the Ravens, and he's fantastic again. And Saquon Barkley goes to the Eagles, he's fantastic. Josh Jacobs goes to the Packers, and he's maybe not efficient, but he's a really good running back. Well, all three of those teams, as you point out, were in position to add a running back to the roster and help and put them in a place to succeed. They had good coaching staffs. They had their quarterbacks in place. They had good offensive lines. And the running back was, it's like, all right, like, I've ordered this again. Like, I've ordered this steak. And I think I can afford to add the sauce on top of it. It's not, and if Derrick Henry is on the Titans this year, he's not good again. If Saquon Barkley is on the Giants, he's not good again. And if Josh Jacobs is on the Raiders, he's not good again. So it's not as simple as we completely devalued running backs. Now you can start adding again because we figured out that they matter. It's if you are the team, not to criticize the Panthers here, but like. There was no, and Jonathan Brooks is a great player.
Yep, I said this yesterday. There was no reason to do that.
And the worst part is they had just traded back with the Rams and gotten an extra pick and sort of trying to supplement the whole Bryce Young deal. And then they used a pretty high pick to move up and get Jonathan Brooks. It's like this is the guy coming off an ACL. And you're probably not going to play him right away, which kind of fits your timeline. They shouldn't have played him at all, quite frankly, clearly. And I don't even think you need hindsight to tell you that, just because of where they were and where he was and trying to come back. But it's like if you're a team that was the worst team in football, you don't need to be drafting a running back in the 2nd round of the draft, because in all likelihood, by the time that your team, if you draft and develop and sign players correctly and coach them correctly, by the time that your team is even ready to put a running back in place where he can succeed and he can thrive in your offensive system, you're going to owe him a new contract anyway. So it's like, and there's some exceptions. There are always some exceptions, right? I think Christian McCaffrey's an exception. You know, he was drafted high and just an incredible player, different kind of back. So I think even if Jonathan Brooks is good, it doesn't really matter because the Panthers you just have to know where you are as a team when you're building a roster. And so often these teams don't, as was the case with Carolina last year.
And my argument when they did trade back up to get Brooks was one of the biggest needs that you've got is cornerback, and there were several, late first-round grade cornerbacks sitting there, including who was the kid from Philadelphia who just won a Super Bowl? With Quinyon?
Oh, Cooper DeJean or Quinyon Mitchell. Quinyon Mitchell was their first-round pick. They took Cooper DeJean in the second round.
Okay. But any of those guys, because there was a bunch of corners available when the Panthers traded up to get Jonathan Brooks, and I'm like, wait, you traded up and took a running back? What are you doing?
It was really, I mean, like if you've got a crazy grade on a running back and he falls to you at a certain point of the draft, take him because good running backs are really important to rosters, and you're going to get 3 years out of that running back, and you can bring it along slowly. Even with Derrick Henry, Titans took him in the second round, and didn't make him the feature back. He was like splitting carries with Deion Lewis his first 2 years of his career. So it's like you can draft and it worked out for them on the timeline. You can draft a running back, just don't overextend yourself to draft a running back. In a case like that.
Final thing, real quick for Will Brinson. I know the Jets were ranked last in the players' survey. The Panthers came in 31st. Thoughts on the Panthers?
That's up, right? That moved up, didn't it? Were they last year?
I don't know. I thought the Jets are perpetually last.
Yeah, I mean it's an anonymous NFLPA survey. So when you have a team that's bad, and I think I don't know. I'm not exactly sure when the survey is done. But I'm guessing, I don't know if it's like an end-of-year survey, whatever it is. But I mean, I'm not totally shocked. You've got a, it's not like a state. I don't think it speaks to the Panthers franchise setup as a whole. I think it's probably more like you're going to see teams that are bad at the bottom, and if you have older facilities and stuff like that.
Chiefs weren't good last year, I don't believe.
Yeah, I mean a lot. Yeah, I mean you see teams all over the place, but I mean certainly the setup for Carolina isn't like the setup in Vegas, where I don't know where they ranked, but I would have to think it wasn't extremely low, even if they're a bad team, because you got these new facilities and a lot depends on what is in place from ownership on down in terms of player management and and the medical stuff, and there's all different components that go into it. But yeah, I mean you don't want to be last; it's better to be first.
Yes, it is much better to be first. I haven't seen the full list. I bet the Eagles probably rate pretty high. Will Brinson, senior NFL writer, CBSSports.com. My friend, I thank you very much. Talk to you very soon.
All right, buddy. Talk to you soon, man.
You got it. That's Will Brinson. All right, when we come back, we get into the rewind. We can't rewind the mailbag, but I think I have some leftover letters we haven't gotten to. There's a lot of Canes angst out there. Hopefully some good news coming out of Duke with Tyrese Proctor. Again, I'm not sure Duke's going to make any statements about it, but it does appear that Proctor is going to be okay, which is obviously good news for them. We'll rewind next.
Talking sports so you don't have to pretend to know stuff. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Electricity. It's what powers our lives, from the ordinary to the extraordinary. In North Carolina, 26 local electric cooperatives provide energy to 2.8 million people across the state. But we're providing so much more than affordable, reliable power. We're helping to strengthen the people and communities that make our state great, today and for generations to come. North Carolina's electric cooperatives. Power you can count on, now and always. Learn more at ncelectriccooperatives.com.
Going to college gives you more career options. You could say it pays for itself, but it might not feel that way in the short term, especially when tuitions do. That's where the FAFSA comes in. The FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid. It's your gateway to money for college. Whether you're seeking scholarships, grants, work-study programs, or loans, it all starts with the FAFSA. So how about it? Make a plan for college and find everything you need for the FAFSA at cfnc.org.
As fall championships begin, the Governor's Highway Safety Program would like to remind you to buckle your seatbelt when traveling home from today's events. Whether you're driving out of town or across town this holiday season, wearing a seatbelt is your best defense against injury or death in a crash. During the busiest time of travel, prioritize your safety and buckle up. Every seat, every time. And remember, click it or ticket. It's the law. This message brought to you by the North Carolina High School Athletic Association and the Governor's Highway Safety Program.
AARP is working hard to make sure people in North Carolina are getting the most out of life. Whether it's helping you stay healthy, save more money, care for loved ones, or simply have some fun, AARP is making a difference in communities across the state. You have a wise friend and fierce defender with AARP. Learn more about progress being made for older adults in the state by listening to AARP Without Limits. You can find the latest episodes of AARP Without Limits wherever you listen to your podcasts.
I'm Faith. I work as an American Sign Language interpreter, and I just graduated from my bachelor's program. I texted 988 because at the moment where I needed help, I realized that I didn't have access to English at the moment. Sometimes speaking gets hard for me, and they just helped me calm down, and then I was able to find a friend. It's free, and you can get in touch with people who are trained to help through all sorts of crises.
Call, text, or chat 988 24/7.
Did you know that since you have public power, your electricity is operated and controlled by people in your community, not by a for-profit investor-owned company? These local folks are directly accountable to you. They don't answer to shareholders. They make decisions for the good of your community. What's more, your public power provider invests in your community, providing jobs and supporting your local economy. Local people working together to meet local needs. That's public power. Learn more at electricities.com.
When it comes to making plans, you are the best. What about those round trips that you plan in advance, which are perfect on your way there and perfect on your way back? Or those meetings with friends for which you make a group chat 3 months before so that nobody or anything is missing? Or your daughter's first birthday party. You planned it with such dedication that instead of the first, it felt like our 15's. The same way you plan each detail for those moments. Start planning to protect you and your loved ones from a natural disaster. Sign up for local weather and emergency alerts. Prepare an emergency kit and make a family communications plan. Protecting your family is the best plan you can make. Get started at ready.gov/plan.
Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
This is Adam Gold.
Frankly, I'm not sure that there is a sport that we could theoretically even put in the Olympics that isn't. I said bowling. Yeah, maybe.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Croquet? Lawn darts?
I'm waiting for cornhole.
Oh, there's somebody that thinks, yeah.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Sorry, I'm getting tangled in my own words here. I just found out that friend of the program, our guy Brendan Whitted, is apparently an Arsenal fan. I find these things out, like, we don't necessarily talk about it a ton. So good for him. Appreciate that he has a side, because I think we should all have a rooting interest. And I wished him well today. Arsenal is playing Nottingham Forest away at the City Grounds, I believe, and it is 0-0 early on. They're part of. I have a draw in that match, by the way, in my 5-leg Premier League Wednesday parlay, and already that is not looking good because Manchester United is at Old Trafford trailing Ipswich.
Oh. Doesn't sound good. I
nice
have no
job.
idea.
So I found out one more thing before we get to a rewind. I was talking with, I'm going to leave his name out of it, okay? We were discussing the potential that Brent Burns and Dmitry Orlov might be beyond their sell-by date as players. It's possible.
Right.
Look.
The avocado that's a little too squishy.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. Or, the mango.
Yeah, yes.
So it is the reality of sports. by the way, and sometimes you just don't know when it's going to hit. I go back to the beginning of the year. This kind of working my way into this, but I go back to the beginning of the year, and I thought Burns looked great. He looked quicker, all of that, and it was brought to my attention that he was dealing with an injury, and it was sort of slipped that it might have been a sports hernia last year, which might have contributed to that. I have no idea if he's dealing with any injury now. My hope is that he would not be, because playing a compromised player at this point, physically compromised, is detrimental to what this team needs to be getting towards doing. So you would want Burns healthier going into the playoffs, because if he's compromised and you can find somebody even within your system to play at a similar rate, even if he's not as reliable, granted, I understand what I just said about Brent Burns, that I would hope you would make that move. So I'm going to guess here that he is not physically diminished in terms of an injury. But it is possible that he is washed. And when we were having this conversation this morning, this person responded to me, I kid you not, Kevin De Bruyne. People who are fans of European soccer, the Premier League, will recognize that name as one of the best attacking midfielders in the world until the last 2 years, where it's over. He is completely washed. So it caught me by surprise that he was like out of nowhere. I get a Kevin De Bruyne drop. I'm like, I have such respect for that. Anyway, and we ended up talking about soccer for a few minutes before we got to other things. Anyway, it brings me back to the fact that if as Hurricanes fans, and like I have a different and a nuanced place in this conversation, because I am also a fan of the team I am responsible for covering. So I cannot allow myself to go wild mood swings one way or the other, which if I was just a fan, I'd probably be with a lot of you who hate Burns. I don't hate Burns. Or hate this guy or that guy, or think this guy should be fired or whatever. I'm not there. I can't live that way. Not to mention it's really detrimental to my job. But I think we should all allow for the possibility that it's time for a replacement for number 8. And it was funny in this conversation I had, I am more confident that they can turn Orloff around at this point than I am Burns. Although, I will say this. I think Brent Burns' main problem has been giving the puck away when he shouldn't. And part of me thinks that should be correctable. Not like by coaching, but by, you've played the game before. You know where to go with the puck. You should know not to blindly pass the puck out in front of your own net. That should be easy. That should not have to be a coaching point. So I don't know what's up. I do know that Burns, the details of Burns' game, has sort of left him for now. But he's done so many other things well, part of the penalty kill. He's a big part of the penalty kill, and he's been great at that. He's still got long reach. He's still a good skater. Yeah, I know. He's not great on the power play anymore. I would argue this. I don't know that he's ever been great on the power play. I think the biggest problem with Carolina's power play is the forward group, not the blue line. It's not Gostisbehere. It's not Burns. I think it's the forward group. They're not moving the puck well enough. They're not moving the puck quickly enough. And I still need to see more low to high. I want to see behind the goal line being used. Anyway, we don't have to get into the details of that. But in sports, you just never know when Father Time knocks. And he might have.
Yeah. I mean, look at Ovechkin.
Yeah.
He's crazy.
He's ignoring Father Time.
Exactly.
He is 12 away.
I know.
From the all-time goal. He scored his 30th goal of the year last night.
Mm-hmm.
It's awesome.
I know.
He's gray. Completely gray.
He is.
He is still
beat up.
He's not the same player, right?
No.
He's just not the same player. But he is the greatest DH now.
Yeah.
In the National Hockey League.
It's
Good for him.
crazy. It's crazy. He's not the same, but the player he is right
Good
now
for him.
is still better than so many.
Hurricanes have 2 more games left with Washington, the second of which could be, the first of which could be, it's not that far away, but the second of which possibly could be a game in which he breaks the record. 12 to break Wayne Gretzky's record. 12 or 13?
Part of me would
12.
say don't put Piotr in net, but after last night, who knows?
Carolina's got some goaltending issues. All right, quick rewind. All right. Conor O'Neill, who covers both Duke and Wake, and in this case we talked about Duke since they played last night. And I found this part of the conversation fascinating, and I wanted you to hear it. By the way, it looks like Tyrese Proctor is going to be okay. That is what I am hearing, but I haven't gotten confirmation on that. And again, keep in mind, Duke will, if they have to, make any announcement. But I know the John Shire radio show is tonight, and I know you can find it locally on Buzz Sports Radio, but I'm sure you can find it online if you want to hear from the head coach if he's got any information on Tyrese Proctor. I think Duke could mitigate his loss, but it wouldn't be easy, and he is a great player, so looks like he's going to be okay, and that would be fantastic. All right, so Duke destroyed Miami last night. And what they did, I suggested to Conor O'Neill from Devils Illustrated, should be against the rules.
Yeah, I feel like the powers that be that decided Duke and Miami would play twice this year. I want some bylaws written into the ACC where we get creative, and if we get to the end of January and have a matchup like this, we can re-engineer some things and let's get Clemson back up to Durham for that matchup. I think we're on a collision course for Charlotte to see that game anyway, but yeah, going into the season, you figure Miami is not going to be as bad as they are, but oh man, they're bad. and Duke is awesome.
Right. It's a terrible combination for that game. But and traditionally Miami has been the team that has given, outside of the norms, Miami's been the team that has given Duke, I think, the most problems, right? So when that schedule came out, and we're only a couple of years removed from Miami being in the Final Four, I thought, all right, that's not bad. And then Miami turns out to be the train wreck that they are, which is why Jim Larrañaga quit. But, I agree with you. I'd love some flexibility in the schedule. Maybe the ACC should do that, should flat out do that.
I would be in favor of that. I would, it'll never happen this way, but I would be in favor of, getting to mid-December or Christmas and saying, okay, look, we know that these 3 or 4 ACC teams are going to drag down the league's reputation, and everybody that plays them, unless they win by 30 or 40, it's going to be a negative for the net. So just ship them to the AAC or the SoCon or wherever and let them be competitive and have a shot. They're not going to get a shot to win the automatic bid. So if they go to the SoCon, they at least have a shot to win the automatic bid. And then that solves some of your perception problems. It opens you up to have more home-and-home matchups within the ACC if you stick to a 20-game schedule, which I think TV has shown us that you never decrease the amount of games on a schedule. It only increases or stays the same. So, but, I think that's a little too radical. I think there are probably bigger fish to fry on the plate of Jim Phillips.
All right, so I'm intrigued by the notion of in-season relegation. I don't think you could actually do that. But I do think that there are things that leagues should do to enhance their own schedules. I actually think it would be beneficial to the Atlantic Coast Conference to leave kind of an open-ended back end of the schedule in all sports to create matchups for television purposes. Look, fairness in conference scheduling has long since left us. We have too many teams in every league to have fairness in schedules. How about better schedules? That's what I would like to see. So, more matchups between Duke and Clemson and Louisville at the end of this basketball season. That would be great. Victoria, thank you very much. We'll see everybody tomorrow.
Chapel Hill to Charlotte, Greenville to Greensboro. Your sports, his state. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina